On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick finally returned to streaming to catch up on all things Star Wars relevant. For the first time since the Kenobi series began, the duo will get to break down the latest episode, while also touching on some highlights from the first half of the series. From there, it's rumor time, including talks on Kenobi Season 2, Vader's next series, and a new Ahsoka casting. They'll also talk about Bad Batch Season 2's dated release and some interesting Moff Gideon revelations. Of course, the show will end with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars fan artists. Punch it, Chewie!
Once I get the show figured out again, hey now everybody, welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show, and we are live, and my camera's all messed up, and my hat, I look like a slapdick, but let's go ahead and get things started here. For those of you that like the stash, it is back. I always break out the mustache for my first beach vacation of the year, so I'm still sporting it. It looks... got a lot more gray in it these days than I used to. And as I look at myself in the camera, it definitely makes me look like a jerk off. But I kind of like that look. And you know, Nick, when people ask like, why do you do that stuff? And it's for the reactions. Like, I don't mind looking stupid because it does get a reaction, either negative or positive, out of other humans. So
true.
But yeah, you know what, man? It's great to be back talking with you. I know even these days you've talked about the fandom has kind of worn you down and you don't quite have the same excitement as you used to talking Star Wars. But Let's
talk about all the racists. That was fun, right?
Yeah. I, for one, do enjoy talking Star Wars with you, and I'll still get excited about stuff. So, you know, we still have one kind of fanboy over here, but you know, you and I, we were talking about before we went live what it was like for me and my 2 weeks away, with the 1 week literally being Kenobi premiere on top of celebration, announcement, reveal, closed door reveals, leaked Mando trailers, leaked Ahsoka trailers, and I think overall I did all right. I mean, for someone that is as narcissistic as I am when it comes to Star Wars and wanting people to only listen to me and my thoughts and my speculations and my theories, considering the amount of content, and yes, you're correct, a lot of it we knew was coming, but actually getting official confirmation and footage, it still got me excited and wanting to blab, wanting to talk. So... luckily, I have found solace in short-form content. And why I'll never quite understand the younger generation's fascination with poorly done short-form content, it's doing something for us. It truly is. Like, we're finally over 1,000 on YouTube. As I said, we added hundreds on our typical socials. TikTok is slowly coming around. But doing the shorts, the YouTube shorts, the reels, it allowed me to kind of get that weight off my shoulders. And I know it's ridiculous, people. Like, just, this is my therapy. I haven't had therapy in almost 3 weeks. But doing the shorts when I was on vacation, just getting my top 10 Kenobi moments or the cameos of Kenobi, it still allowed me to feel like I've done good for the galaxy. Okay? You know, that we've talked about this is my problem, something I have to deal with. But overall, being gone 2 weeks, missing half of the fucking Kenobi series, missing all of Celebration, I think I handled it okay. You know, I wasn't keeping the family locked up in the house. Like, no, we can't do anything. I got to sit here for 6 hours and break down Kenobi 1 and 2 and sit around for Celebration announcements. So it was nice. It was nice. I always love going out to Rehoboth Beach. I want to live there. In fact, my mom reminded me at one point in time, her and my dad were going to buy a property at this beach right at the end of the first block. So a block off the beach. They could have had, listen to this and tell me you wouldn't want to jump out a fucking plane right now. They could have bought a property at the end of block 1. It had 3 units on it and an open lot back in 2000 for $225,000. You know how much that nowadays. You know how much it is right now, Nick, and they haven't improved the house or lot in 20 years. You know how much it's worth right now?
$850.
$2 million.
$2 million. Wow. 10x.
fucking $1 million, man. And it would have been an solid ATM because this place, Rehoboth, it rents like a motherfucker throughout the season. Like stupid rental prices. The place we go out of season for 2 weeks costs us almost $3,000.
Yeah.
So in season, that we're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars a week, every week of the summer, 3 units, plus an open lot that you could probably sell today for $1 million, just fucking grass, because it's a block off the beach. But no, my dad was a pussy, decided to keep his money in the fucking stock market, which crashed on his stock, Max and Irma's, which is really not even a thing anymore. And they ended up with a broken down lake house in Mount Gilead, Ohio, which is like goat fucker central. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, I mean, come on. I'm sitting here going, every summer I could just be going out to Rehoboth for the whole fucking summer and managing the property or just fucking hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't do
That's
it.
Our next thing after we get our house, like our new house, and get settled into that is a rental property for sure. That's our next play.
And I want to kick our own asses, Heather and mine's, because even 3 years ago, before property just started getting obscene out here, we could have bought the place we stay in, which is maybe 200 yards from the beach, for $460,000. It now goes for $750,000.
Yeah.
And
see, if you would have just sold all your toys, then you could have had it.
Don't remind me, man. Don't remind me that I literally have a down payment on a beach property in my basement. And these days, as I said on Discord, half of them are just sitting in boxes. It's like I don't even get the money shot feeling anymore when I get a new toy. I came home to 4 Hot Toys, Nick, that I've been waiting over a year to get. A General Skywalker, Clone Wars Maul, Tank Commander Mando, the deluxe Boba Fett 2-figure set. I haven't even opened them. Like, I don't have that pull to like, ooh, I want to get my Barbies. It's I don't know. I don't know what to say.
You could have been opening a door to your own beach house, though.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You're not wrong. I mean, we were in a slightly different place. I mean, Heather wasn't quite making what she was, but come on, like, because we figured it out. We could have essentially paid for our mortgage just from the summer rentals if we would have got that place. But hey, I guess the lesson is shoulda, woulda, coulda is a type of conversation for losers. All right. So I'm a loser. But no, it's been good. But back to the short form content real quick. For those of you that are here in the live stream, you know, you're our diehards. I would appreciate a little more likes and shares on your own socials. I mean, I see you all do it all for, you know, Star Wars Daily or Star Wars Life or go fuck your mom's Star Wars account. Come on. Like, I do my best to, you know, if you tag us in your stories and, you know, I'll throw it out there. I'll promote your products, your photography, whatever. Like, come on. We don't ask for money. We don't paywall any of our content. Could you just take the 3 seconds to like the reels, to like the YouTube shorts, in particular on YouTube, like, maybe share on your own feeds? You know, I don't want to sound like a beggar, like anyone owes us anything, but for all the comments of, hey, we love you, we want to support you, we tell you how to support us, and it seems to fall on deaf ears. All right. So, and this is my narcissism too. I don't want to rub anyone the wrong way. We love you all, but someone like me, when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I'm going through the stories of some of our big fans, and I'm seeing content that we produced, but they're sharing it from other Star Wars accounts. It's like, we are losers then, aren't we? I have failed you, Nick. I have failed you. So, come on, help us out on this new short form push. Just take the 2 seconds. I mean, even a fucking like, I'll take that. But I would love putting it in your own stories, or if you're on YouTube in particular, all that type of fun stuff. We've also now have the ability to do clips of our YouTube content. So if you are watching the show and we say something extra dumb, or we get in a pissing match, or it's content you're like, hey, this is why I watch these two idiots, clip it and flip it. All right. I hate sounding like a beggar, and I hate pleading for this type of stuff. But if you do really like the show and you want to make at least me feel like not like a loser, just simple shares here and there. We're not asking for the world. We're not asking you to stump too hard. So that's it. I'll leave everything on that. I don't want our first show back to be a lecture on our insignificance. But I would appreciate some of that, because it really takes no effort. And I see all of you do it for other accounts. So I know you know how to do it. Help your boys out from the SWTS. All right, dude. So, what the fuck? We got all sorts of shit today. I've decided, we're not going to spend too much time on what's past. What's past is past. Like Kylo said, let the past die. And I don't want to drive Nick nuts talking about stuff that's damn near 3 weeks old at this point in time. So, vacation was great. One wheel. I am one with the one wheel, and the one wheel is one with me. You all get it that are Star Wars fans, right? At this point in time, I honestly think, like Cheer It, I could close my eyes and ride that motherfucker and not die. Nice. That thing is one of the most beautiful and entertaining devices I've pissed money away on in recent memory. Especially if you live somewhere nice like Austin, Texas, or if you got trails around you. I can't even tell you how magical riding that thing around the coast was. Going through marshlands or just being up on a boardwalk. It is a thing of beauty. Zen. Again, I am one with the one wheel, and the one wheel is with me. All right. So just real quickly, Nick even touched on it, and I kind of prefaced it last week. Hopefully you all listened to our show last week. I think it was probably kind of neat, because you literally got Matt for 50 minutes and his views, and then Nick came in and kind of closed the show. He was the closer. They go, what were some famous closers out there? I forget.
Mariano Rivera.
That's who I was thinking of. I just forgot. I was going to say, who was the Yankee fucker? Yeah. Nick had him down. But we did have a 2-person cast last week. It just wasn't dueling. It was, as I said on the cast, it was going to be like dueling fanjos, where I would spew and then Nick would spew, and you all would have to try to figure out if we actually enjoy the content or not. But like Nick said, it. And sadly, Nick, were you even surprised at the reaction to Reva and Moses Ingram? I mean, it's literally gotten to this point. Like, it's definitely sad and depressing that this is the fandom we inhabit. But were you shocked that this happened to her?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't even know about it until Taylor told me. Like, because I don't look at social media all that much, especially since I don't watch the episodes until the day of the podcast. So like, I was way behind on like fan reaction and shit like that. But like, when she told me, was it surprising? No. Did it hurt a lot? Yeah, because my girlfriend's black. Taylor is black. She's a black woman, and like, they are like all of these fans out there. It was to the degree that literally Ewan McGregor had to come out and make a video
and
calling this shit out.
And Lucasfilm. Like, Lucasfilm had to put out a targeted post saying, listen, fuck all you people. Like, you types of fans aren't fans. The same message, essentially, that Ewan said. Yeah, it's gross. And I know there's fans out there like, oh, they're going to be picking on the fans again. You fuckers deserve to be picked on. You're scumbags. Anyone that treats another human the way some of these people treated Moses Ingram, and probably are still treating her. I mean, I don't know. Have they chased her off social media like they did to Daisy?
I don't think
like they
that
did
Moses
to Kelly.
is gonna get scared off by these people. Like, I don't want to say anything like against Daisy or Kelly, but like Moses seems like the type of person that's not gonna like put up with the shit.
Yeah, I think
because
I
she
think,
took it and she was like, "Look
y'all
at all
are
this
weird."
garbage.
Yeah, she said, "Y'all are weird." It's like, it's like, well, sorry, Moses, because there are some of us that are much better than what has been presented to you. But and I don't want to, we're going to spend much time on this at all. But it's just listen, for those of you in the back that always get butthurt when Star Wars fans get picked on. You may be part of the problem, honestly. Like if you can't see this shit as problematic, you're probably fucked up in the head yourself. All right? It makes no sense. She's playing a goddamn character, and I personally think Reva is fantastic. And this isn't some woke ass take. Sorry, Star Wars theory. I guess that guy's gone like full fucking negative these days. I'm sure there's fans of him out there. He's the biggest fucking Star Wars fan channel around. But apparently, the premiere, he just sat there and fucking shit on Reva the entire time. Like, what is she doing that's so awful? I think she's great.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't get it. But,
well, we know what it truly is. It's female person of color. I mean, that's at the core. That's what it is. They a lot of them try to spin it as like, oh, she's annoying sounding, or she shouldn't be doing this. It's gonna break canon. Blah 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 blah. It's just all smoke and mirrors for their racism. But whatever. Hey, let's try to have a little fun talking about Kenobi because, Nick has a point. It's I don't let other fans really affect my fandom, but it does weigh on me. Clearly, I'm talking about it now. And there are times I've had Kung Fu came to me, Press Pause came to me. Is like, dude, thanks for just speaking positive about Obi-Wan Kenobi, because everywhere we're looking online, it's like everyone's fucking trashing this shit. It's like, well, welcome to 21st century Star Wars fandom, my friends. This is it. I've been trying to tell you. I mean, I sickly, like mentally sickly, horrible phrase right there. I almost take it with a fire hose to the face, all the fan nonsense, because of how much I get integrated into the Star Wars fandom. But for people that aren't on socials or whatnot, and they see this type of stuff, it is still kind of jarring to them. And I just go, well, welcome to the new normal. This is Star Wars, whether you like it or not. I mean, it's been bubbling under the surface ever since Disney bought the license. It burst through the surface with TLJ, and it's just continued to get worse since then. So, but really, Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2 were great. They were. I think it was a smart move to release them both together. Episode 1, while I was entertained, that would have generated a lot of that. Nick. Oh, fucking filler. It was filler episode. Filler episode. I don't have a brain, so I just want to see action, and then I don't care about story or setup or nuance. I just want Vader. I mean, we got a bunch of Neanderthals in the fandom. But, oh well, there you go. There's Kenobi 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and do what everyone has been waiting for since the series kicked off, and that is the patented, never-to-be-copied Star Wars Time Show breakdown of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 3. I guess they're not episodes. Part 3.
Yeah, it's parts.
All right, so let me go ahead and switch some screens around. I'm a little rusty at this. You'll have to excuse me here. It's been 2 weeks. My brain can't quite retain how to run the show. I'm seeing here from props and some of those. I think 1/6 made it too. They got to go. I don't know if you saw this, Nick, but anyone that got into the Lucasfilm Presents panel, they all got to go to the red carpet premiere of Kenobi 1-2 with the stars, the cast, the directors.
That's
and
awesome.
I think Justin was there, props, and it probably was an experience. So trust me, I was jealous of all you motherfuckers, but I was appreciative of those of you that were there, in particular Scion, Bat, Nova, Props, Scoundrel. Just checking out your content. Kiko collects. I know he doesn't really tune into the show. He participates with the hashtag, but he had some good coverage too. So I was living through all of you, And it did look like a fucking blast. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. You know how we do it here. We usually give our general impressions of the episode first. Then we'll get into the nuance. You know, things of note, some eggs, some things that might pop up in the future. And then we'll kind of kick the tires on what may happen in part 4. So, Nick, why don't you go ahead? What was your general feeling of Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3? The trip to, was it Mapuzo?
Yeah, Mapuzo, I think is how they called it. I was a huge fan. Like I really enjoyed the sense of just like uncomfortability and tension that Obi-Wan felt even before like the initial Vader vision, and then obviously leading into the first showdown between
dude,
Kenobi and Vader.
The end of episode 2 was fantastic, where she breaks the news to him, and the way Ewan acted that. I mean, you could see Kenobi, like everything just sunk down into his stomach. Well, there's Nick tapping out, so 22 minutes was pretty good. Whoever put that one in there. There he is. He's back. Right. He's back.
That
was a quick one, though. He's quick on the trigger now. No, I was saying before you dropped out, I was like, wasn't the end of episode 2 perfect in how Reva just broke him emotionally by revealing to him Anakin's alive? You failed. You can't escape him. He knows you're out there. He's looking for him. And just the look on Ewan's face, like that's why Ewan McGregor makes the money he makes. And it carried all the way to the very end where he just goes, Anakin. And then, you know, you get to cut to Anakin awakening and feeling his master again through the Force. But yeah, as you were saying, it leads right into Obi-Wan's state at the beginning. So go ahead. Yeah,
like sense of tension and dread. I mean, it never left him through this entire episode, even in his exchanges with Leia. I mean, when he kind of like snapped at her when they were walking, when they first got to Mapuzo, and he was convinced that it was a setup. They were walking, and he just snaps and says, "Not everybody is nice." Like that's something that Grand Master Kenobi would never do. That you know, Jedi Council member Kenobi would never do. Like he would always have control of his emotions, especially in a situation like that where danger is at its highest. And you can tell that just throughout the whole episode, that even though Anakin didn't show up, that Vader didn't show up until the end of the episode or near the end of the episode, that his just knowing.
Oh, we lost him again. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. We'll see if he comes back here. Oh, here he comes. Maybe this will third time's a charm here.
Well, if this keeps happening, then it's going to be a solo match show.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, we're going to have to do like some offline testing to figure out what in the fuck is going on with your Windows setup, or we're going to have to start a GoFundMe to get you an Apple device. So we can get through a show.
It is Skype for sure. There's no other culprit here than Skype. But anyway, it affected his entire perception of events.
Like, he's shell shocked, man. He is. Yeah. I mean, you know, we'll get into it. What happens to him in the episode, but going into episode 3, he is shell shocked. Like his whole world has been ripped out from under him. Everything he thought had happened was a lie. His former apprentice that he mutilated is out there and is this terror of the galaxy. But yeah, I mean, credit to you, and he's really selling the. We talked about this. We speculated on it, and we talked about it based on what the writer said. I mean, we were going to meet a very broken man, just like Luke was on his island. So hopefully people can start seeing now, like, hey, you know, Jedi can get fucked up in the head if they feel responsible for horrific things that have happened to the galaxy. So it happens. It even happens to our man, Mr. Hello there. It's okay. Yeah, me in general loved the episode. Obviously, we knew the moment was coming. We've talked about what it would be like to see Vader on screen again in live action. in a more intense presentation, bordering on that Rogue One type of style Vader, and we got it. And my goodness, even the haters couldn't shit on this episode. I mean, Stunt Buddy was not a fan. He thinks the cinematography is garbage, but I think
I don't really like Stunt Buddy is just like, to me, he's a part of the shithead crowd now. Yeah, he'll find problems with everything. So his opinion means about as much to me as the shithead Twitter guy.
I'm with you. And I've said it a million times. I would watch a flip book presentation of Star Wars, like stick figures flipping through on paper, old school. As long as it had a good story, I could care less. I mean, it could be me going like, oh, hey, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm Darth Vader. And as long as there's a story there.
Stunt Buddy should tell Deborah Chow that the cinematography was dog shit. And then she can be like, oh, yeah, like you work in stunts, right? I hope you enjoy your job for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Because you're not going to have any more.
So
the guy it seems like his ego has exploded to the point to where he thinks that he can do everything better than everybody else.
I honestly think that is a stunt and industry thing in general. But yes, I don't think you're too far off. But yeah, I mean, the episode was aces. We'll get into all the top moments and things of note and things you may have missed at this point in time. Who knows? Maybe even watch my little shorts to get you caught up. But I thought what Vader did in that town was, I mean, that's exactly what I have wanted to see for 41 years of my life. It touched, and here's the crazy thing. It only scratched the surface on his evilness and what he's willing to do. And hopefully everyone understood why he was doing that stuff. It wasn't just indiscriminate murder. Like, if you get into the nuance of Anakin and the dark side and how he feeds on it and makes himself stronger, it is through people's fear, pain, suffering. And it also, when he has all that negative energy going on in the Force, he knew it was going to flush out Kenobi. Like, he knew by doing all this, it was going to muffle Kenobi's powers, because he pulls from the light side of the Force, the positivity, the happiness, the warm and fuzzies. And when you're in a location where there's nothing but fear, suffering, and death, that mutes the Jedi. And so it was a thing of beauty, as sadistic as that sounds. It was a thing of beauty to see as a fan of Vader, and a fan of Vader across mediums, comic book Vader, animated Vader, live action Vader, claymation Vader, doesn't fucking matter. That is who he is. That is who Anakin is. And he is that way all the way up through the original trilogy. It's really not until he runs into Luke and realizes that, oh, shit, that's my son, that he kind of loses his path, which was also explained in the comics. You remember, I hate rehashing it, but that's why Palpatine brought him in and fucking mutilated him just like Obi-Wan Kenobi did. And reminded him, like, no, bitch, you are my number 2. You're getting a little too soft. You need that anger and fear and pain and suffering back. So, yeah, it was great. And just seeing Kenobi is like, some people are like, oh, Kenobi, it was barely even a fight. Well, yeah, no kidding. Kenobi's shell-shocked. He barely even has a connection to the Force. And he has a guy that's been sitting around for 10 years with a hard-on for getting revenge. Just toying with him. One-handed strikes were knocking Kenobi down to the ground. I fucking loved it, but more on that in a minute. All right, so let's kind of pull up some of the screens here. Did take some screenshots. I'm just going to go through some of my notes, Nick. These are like top moments. There really hasn't been a ton of non-obvious Easter eggs, really, in this series. I mean, yeah, there's been some little shit that is like, whatever. I know I didn't do much on the whole Corran Horn thing from episode 2 with Haja. Oh, by the way, sidebar, Haja S3, one of my new favorite Star Wars characters.
He played it really well.
Kumail, I fucking love the guy. I mean, he kind of plays the same character in a lot of his roles, but I dig it. I thought he played that con man perfectly, but you could also tell that he does have a heart. He is connected to this resistance movement that we saw more of in episode 3 with Tala. But anyways, he kicks ass. So kind of starting off, some of my favorite things. Right at the beginning, you had to love that how they kind of mirrored Kenobi dealing with the knowledge that Anakin is alive, and then Anakin / Vader dealing with the knowledge that Kenobi has been found, and how they were kind of cross-cutting it while Kenobi is still trying his damnedest to reach out to his master Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
And like we said, through some of the leaks, the connection's not there because Kenobi is not, his head's not right yet. But I loved, he's like, Master, please, he's coming. You gotta love that. But really, Nick, how did you like seeing Vader nearly fully assembled? I thought, as a fan of the character and knowing what he goes through, getting that kind of behind the scenes peek at his morning routine, his pre-coffee routine. I mean, I love it. He's like a fucking engine on those chains that they, pull up in a shop to drop in the cars and whatnot. But he's a human. And it just, it was so mechanical, so brutal. There's like no care for Anakin. He is truly a machine.
Yeah, I mean, you could see too that at this point in his life, he's just become kind of desensitized to the whole process too.
Yeah. It's perfect. Yeah, he just sits there like numb.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting juxtaposition when you put it next to the end of Rots, where he's just writhing, screaming in pain the whole time. And it just shows you that like he has become so hardened and so soulless, for lack of a better word, over these 10 years that like, even in the face of like, if he would have encountered Kenobi, the day after he gets his suit put on, I think that Anakin has an emotional breakdown. Like, I don't think that he would physically be able to handle what was in front of him. Now, 10 years later, after years of calluses, after years of anticipation of finding this person and exacting revenge, like he's built up just this surface around his personality and around his being that like nothing can really affect him anymore. Like that's the Vader. Like we're starting to see shades of the Vader that we see in the original trilogy, where it's just like, it doesn't matter what happens. He has no reaction to it. Yeah. Even the moment when his son is on the ground writhing in pain from lightning coursing through his body, like he's still, until the moment that he picks up fucking
Father, please.
Yeah, he was flat, and like this is the Vader that you see in the original.
No, you're
trilogy.
right. I mean, even in that moment where Luke has gotten to him a little bit, he's still doing double takes. Like he's looking at his son, and he's looking at his master. He's looking at his son, looking at his master, and then when Luke gives that final cry for help, that's what does it. And he's like, now he literally goes, no, and does the toss. But I think that was a great breakdown there. He really is. I mean, I've got the shot up where you're seeing the helmet lowered down, and there's zero emotion on this man's face at this point in his life. Like Nick said, he doesn't flinch. He's just a husk. He's a husk of what he was. There is no Anakin right now. Like that guy's definitely gone, dead, just like Obi-Wan lied to Luke about. From a certain point of view, is actually starting to make some fucking sense right now. Like he truly is no longer there. And that's why you get some of those great lines like, my God, what have they done to you? And his reply, this is what
you have made me.
Yeah, this is what you made. I mean, to me, I mean, Anakin is like your prototypical shithead who blames all their problems in their life on everyone else and takes zero accountability. I mean, he's like a lot of people alive right now in the 21st century. Like, hey, it's your problem. It's that group of people's problem that my life is bad. It's your problem that my life is bad. It has nothing to do with my choices and decisions in life. It's everyone else. And that's who he is. But as a huge Vader Anakin fan, I love that montage of him getting ranked out, tubes ripped out, his kind of under tunic put on, the shit stabbed into his stomach. I mean, his neck piece, the helmet, his legs, his arms. And that's every day. Like, and if he doesn't do it, he dies. That's the best part. Like, if he doesn't do this,
if
he's
not
fucked.
in that suit, he has to be in that back to tank.
Yeah.
And it's one or the other.
It's unbelievable.
That's fucked
I mean,
up.
what a life. No wonder when he was choking that dad out and the kid's like, no, he just doesn't even think and just like, see you later, fucker. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It pushes, like, literally slams the kid against the wall when he comes out trying to save his father. Like,
and then just a quick little twist of the fingers and there goes your life. You're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Another moment I just love seeing as a super fan of Vader is we've seen his castle. We've seen it in live action. We've seen it in some of the Lego
video game
nonsense, the video games. But actually seeing his throne room and him, Vader, sitting on the stone throne, loved it. It was nothing. I mean, it was like a 15-second scene where he's checking in on Reva and kind of getting that interplay between the Inquisitors up, that competition, because that's what Darksiders do. But I love seeing the guy. I mean, he literally got out of his assembly moment, had his Mustafarian boba or whatever, and then sat down on his cold granite stone throne and had a talk with one of his Inquisitors. It's just cool. I mean, it's just fucking rad to see Darth Vader sitting on a throne. I'm a simpleton. What can I say? Moving right along. All right, we haven't had much time to talk about the Obi-Wan and Leia relationship because just haven't been around. But I can tell you right now, it's I don't give a fuck if people want to compare it to Mandalorian or not. I love it. I think these two together adds so much backstory to both Obi-Wan and Leia herself. Vivian is a complete joy to watch on screen. She's fucking perfect. And the way her and Ewan just play scenes together is masterful. But if you're on the live stream, we'd always love for you to join 2:30 East on YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. The shot I have up right now was they're still on the transport. So this is before they get to Mapuzo. And surprisingly, Kenobi's got some mechanical skills. I didn't quite ever know that. Maybe he picked them up from Tika in his cave on Tatooine, the Jawa that steals all the shit and sells it back to him. You gotta love that. I mean, Jawas get better and better with more Disney Plus content that comes out.
Steal my shit, at least clean it before you sell it back.
You know it too. And Tika had no problem. She's like, "Hey, fuck you. Yeah, you're right."
Costs extra.
Yeah. Dude, Jawas are the best, and they literally have become just like Tusken Raiders. They're becoming this worthwhile faction where, in A New Hope, they're, as a kid, I kind of looked at them as like bad guys. They were fucking up my buddies, the droids.
Yeah,
but
they're stealing all this stuff.
Yeah, now you know that they steal stuff to give the Mando to use on a ship. They sleep with Pelimoto. They were fleecing Kenobi with his own parts. You gotta love them. You gotta love them, man. They're like those flea market people and trash pickers. But anyways, back to this scene. So we learned that Kenobi's got some mechanical skills because he fixes Lola. And by the way, I don't think Lola quite is going to capture the Grogu cuteness craze. I don't know if people are snagging those toys or not. I do like the droid and the bond with Leia, but it ain't Grogu. But anyways, this scene right here, Nick, I thought was pretty important. And the reason why, it's because he kind of gets into talking about the Force with the young Skywalker. On the surface, it's just a conversation, but to someone like me that likes to kind of dig deep and think about the impact of these conversations on this little girl, I mean, Leia was getting talked to about the Force from Obi-Wan Kenobi a decade before Luke Skywalker. Yeah. That's interesting canon to me, as little as it was. What else was kind of neat here was hearing Kenobi open up about his family life and not his Jedi family.
Brother.
Yeah. I mean, you've never heard about this shit. Maybe in some comics. He's never talked about having a brother or what it was like to be taken from his family so young. And I can tell you right now, I think that little seed was planted to eventually tie into some of Reva's beef with the Jedi and Obi-Wan in particular. Maybe he was the one that went and got her from her family. I do want. Let's just talk about that right now, because I know some of you worried about canon being destroyed, and I think that's silly. You got to remember who is surrounding these shows now. Dave Filoni. He's not going to break canon, let alone.
You also
his own.
have to remember what is canon after the Disney acquisition.
Right.
The cartoon shows and the movies. That's it.
Filoni's
all the
not,
shit that you read back in the day doesn't matter anymore. I read it too.
Filoni's not going to break his own canon in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it. Like, he would not let that go. But anyways, back real quick, another little sidebar. A lot of you had problems with the fact of, Reva knowing that Anakin was Darth Vader. To me, that's a very easy explanation. She was one of the younglings that kicked off the goddamn series. I mean, just look. There is a taller black young girl in that group of kids that look like they had a chance to get away. So I don't think it's too big of a stretch to think that she either saw Anakin murdering people as Lord Vader, or saw the holo recording that Obi-Wan saw. I mean, or Anakin captured her right there. You don't. To me, it's not a hard stretch to that Reva knows the secret that only supposedly Palpatine, Padme, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Bail Organa knew. She was there. There's a good chance she saw the same video that Obi-Wan saw. Now, why does she have such a hard-on for Obi-Wan? I think it could be one of two things. I just said the one. Maybe he was one of the Jedi that picked her up from her family. Or maybe she was hiding away still in the temple when him and Yoda got back. Or she saw the message, don't come here, leave, and felt like, well, who's going to come and save me? You betrayed me, Obi-Wan, and now I've been captured by these fucking psychos and turned into an Inquisitor. I do feel like we're going to get some more of Reva's story. You don't open the series with that awesome Order 66 moment with a direct focus on a group of younglings and it not
for
connect,
no reason.
Right, and not connect later on. So just take a deep breath. Same thing with the Grand Inquisitor. We've seen a lot of people, even recently, getting taken out in the stomach and they come right back. Fennec Shand is one. We do have these mechanical parts and shit we can do now. And the Grand Inquisitor himself in Rebels has spoken a line that goes something like, there are fates worse than death. That could be being brought back alive to keep doing the bidding of two psycho Sith Lords. In fact, in the comics, after the Grand Inquisitor does die at the hands of Kanan, Vader almost traps his soul in a Jedi temple to where he truly never dies. Because remember, Sith, they don't go in the Force Ghost land, but they can put their essence into objects. And the Grand Inquisitor, when Luke was going to look for a new lightsaber after the events of Empire Strikes Back, comes and haunts him as a spirit and is like, this is my life now. This is my fate because I died. And this is what Vader has kind of co-signed me to. So don't worry. They're not going to break canon. Just deep breaths. Let it play out. It's a 6-part long movie. It's okay. You're not going to get everything every week. That's the beauty of serialized storytelling. Okay? All right. But anyways, back. So I love all their conversations have been great, but this was a good one. You literally having Force talks with one of the highest potential Force users in the galaxy at this point in time, young Leia, and you get some of Kenobi's backstory, which has more or less been missing.
Yeah, all but ignored.
Right.
Did you think that when they were on the barge or like on Frank's little truck that he was gonna start pulling out some mind tricks? Did you think that was coming
on Freck?
No, not on Freck, but on the troopers.
Oh, on the troopers.
Yeah.
That I didn't, but that's good insight. But I still think he's that out of touch with the Force that I don't think he could do it. I mean, you saw what it took for him just to tap into it to save Leia from her fall. I mean, he was like, almost taking a fucking grumpy, as Johnny Depp likes to say. But yeah, I mean that probably would have been a vintage callback. When you look at it with hindsight, though, Nick, I don't know if the situation really presented itself to try to mind trick a gaggle of troops and
The only time where I was like, he clearly can't do the hand motion without somebody noticing. The only time that I thought he was going to be able to do it was when he was stepping off the truck and like you're moving, like you're using your hands, you're climbing down. I was like, maybe he's going to like turn, and then when he turns, he'll just like wave his hand and then have it happen.
Well,
but
yeah, Haja showed us you don't need to wave a hand. You can actually do it over a communicator, right? Like, I'm getting into your brain now.
Oh my God.
I'm
releasing you from the bond.
I have a feeling we'll see him again. Like that medallion he gave him, that has to be tied to the path and Jabim and some things I may or may not know about O'Shea Jackson's character. I do think Kamal that wasn't his only screen time. All right, so another moment that I really appreciate as a fan, as a part of Obi-Wan's PTSD after realizing Anakin is still alive, is when they're on Mapuzo and you can tell he's kind of out of it, like he's fucked. And he looks and you get to see our man Hayden in that cloak as Vader before he lost all his body parts. And, if that's, I still think we're going to get Hayden as Anakin in a flashback. But even that was good. That if we didn't get a flashback, Nick, that was good enough for me. Just seeing the man in his darker cloak, that he's got a great scowl on for that moment, even though it was a vision. But I love that. It further showed how frazzled Obi-Wan is at this moment. But it got that, got Hayden into the tunic and robes, at least for a brief moment. So you mentioned Freck. I thought he was a fun character, voiced by Zach Braff. A lot of people thought it was Seth Rogen. It was not. It was Zach Braff. But really, the first introduction and how Leia went about that, I love that. I mean, you 100%
like vintage Leia.
Yeah. You not only see General Leia in that, but you see some of the Padme, like I'm going to talk about here in a minute, and hopefully I don't start crying. But she just walks in like a little boss, making up stories without even flinching, like just boom, boom, this, that, my dad, we're here, we got lost, blah, 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 blah. I mean, she's a pro. Super Scoundrel. Nick, you may even want to go on Instagram to check these out, but he's been doing like these young Leia studies.
I've seen some of
Okay, good. Well worth checking out to any of you out there. Look at @super_scoundrel on Instagram. He's been doing these very cool juxtapositions of young Leia next to her older self, or I think his most recent one was young Leia, and if you swipe, it's her mom. It just works. It just works. That's all I'm saying. All right. So, but yeah, as you were saying, when they're in Freck's truck, whatever the fuck you want to call it, they have another fantastic conversation. One that, he maybe got me a little emotional, just like that moment in episode 2, right before Reva shows up, where he's like, no, you remind me of an old friend. It's like, fuck, this poor bastard. Like, he just think about what he's dealing with right now. But here in particular, what I like, Nick, it wasn't the save of calling her Leia and then be like, oh, that was the name of her mom. Right. And we all knew as fans that he was literally telling the truth. Like, when I look at her, I see her mother. It's like, oh, I just want to cry. It's like, poor Padme, poor Leia, poor Ben. You just feel bad for all these motherfuckers because of what Anakin Skywalker chose to do. Like, what a fuckface. But you know what I like the most, Nick? Is when she asked him, are you my real dad? I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, you got to be killing me. As a father of a young kid, a young daughter, it's like, oh, this poor little lady. And Obi-Wan knowing who her real dad is, and he can't tell her. It's rough shit. Like, I'm getting emotional here. It happens. It's deep shit, man. I love this stuff, but I loved when she actually brought up, like, are you my dad? And
the relationship between those two is really strong. And like the on-screen chemistry for a girl who's literally 5 years old in real life, like she is very young, for her to have the ability
there's no way she's 10. There's no way she's 10. I mean, I look at her and she reminds me of my daughter, like a 6-year-old. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
I wish I would have got my kid screen testing earlier.
I mean, maybe, yeah, I guess she is 10. Well, she's not. She just turned 10.
Okay,
So when
all
she
right.
was filming this, she was probably 8, 9,
8 or
somewhere
9,
around there.
9, yeah.
So like, yeah, like she plays so mature for her age. And like, even though she looks young, like to be able to literally sit there as a 9-year-old and bounce off and,
Deep
and,
shit,
and
like
really get deep.
Yeah.
With Ewan McGregor, who is one of the best character actors in the last 15 years. I mean, probably further back than that if you go to Trainspotting and everything like that. Like, this guy is a consummate professional, and like the work that she does is absolute. She's my favorite part of the show. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah.
When you consider what she was asked to do as a child, like, and the burden that she doesn't know. I mean, she doesn't know the burden that's on her shoulders, but like, you're playing one of the most noticeable heroic female figures in Hollywood history. Like, that is what her task was, to take Leia Organa, one of the first female, like, strong female heroines that we've ever seen in sci-fi, and like bring her to life as a child. And this girl is just crushing it. I mean, it's absolutely impressive.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. It's, you know, a lot of kids can act. Some of them are pretty good. The content she's being given to emote is crazy for someone her age. She doesn't understand these level of emotions yet. I mean, you could argue people my age in their 40s don't quite understand these types of emotions. Being abandoned, feeling abandoned. You know, she said it multiple times now. Like, she knows she's not an Organa. Her shithead cousin reminds her.
Yeah.
She knows her real dad's gone. Her real mom's gone. And the way Vivian can emote and not look like a little kid actor is where she wins. But it's just like she has perfected Carrie Fisher. She's got her down at that young of an age. And you just love it. I mean, you saw what just happened to me a few minutes ago. I started to blubber up. Like, that's genuine shit. Look, I'm going to have to take the damn picture down pretty soon. I'm going to start crying again. I don't know how much of it is me tying it to my little kid or just the beauty of the lore that these two are sharing. This is why I like Star Wars, people. Okay? The fucking Vader stuff, that's great. The visual stuff, that's awesome. It's these moments, these conversations that flesh out the lore, that grow characters. That's what I like.
It's also, it's unexpected moments.
Yes.
And I would even call them, like, you could have made this whole show without that exchange happening, and it wouldn't have been any better or worse without it. Like, it wasn't a necessary conversation to have, but like you said, it deepens the lore, it deepens the character connections, and it does something that you weren't expecting. Like, we were all expecting to watch this episode and see a showdown between Vader and Kenobi. We knew it was going to happen. We knew that they were going to have, they were going to get to a planet and have to run away from the Inquisitors. We knew that was going to happen. We knew a lot of what was going to happen in this episode, if you really think about it. Did we know the particulars? No. But
the leaks have been the leaks have been spot on. I mean, MSW, he gets the goods. There's no doubt about it. I mean, not that we needed a lot of leaks. I mean, you could kind of pick up on things from the trailers, but everything is playing out as expected so far. But like Nick said, we're getting these little gem dialogue moments that they're not flashy, they're not sizzly, you know, they're not meant to wow. But if you pay attention to what's being said, it deepens the lore for the characters, the universe as a whole. I mean, now you can sit back after episode 3 of Kenobi and be like, it makes a fuck ton of sense that she named her kid Ben Solo. I mean, you know, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, everyone worried about dialogue getting ruined in a new... to me, I think it strengthens these moments now. Now we have direct scenes to go back to and be like, okay, yeah, I could see this. I could see this. Real quick before we move on, do you think before the series is up, Obi-Wan will actually talk to Leia about Padme? Because you notice he's avoided it so far. Like he only calls her my friend, or You know, she was a great person, a great leader. Never has he said, Leia, I'm talking about your mom.
Yeah, it's hard because there is that moment in the original trilogy towards the end where Leia says, like, I have memories of my mother. And, like, we know that she can't. Like, we know that she physically cannot have memories of her mother. She was too young. She's never seen her alive. And maybe it is. Like, maybe these memories are contrived from other people telling her about it,
right.
And namely Kenobi. Like, Kenobi says, like, I did know your mother. We were very close, and you were very much like her.
Hear me out here, like and I don't think it'll go this way, but I wouldn't be upset if it did. But let's say at the end, after he regains his hope and sees that, all right, I'm ready to fight again. I've been out in the galaxy. I see, and we got it. Like he goes to Tala, like, why are you doing this? I mean, you can tell Ben still is not down with trying to fight back.
He's fucked up. Yeah, like you could see that, like. Episodes 1, 2, and 3, just with Nari
Bale had to fly his ass to his cave because Obi on the comms was like, "Fuck you guys, find someone else. This ain't me. I'm not General Kenobi anymore." But so hear me out here. Let's say things end up happy and whatnot. Maybe even deeper than him just being like, hey, Leia, you know what? I did know your mother. Her name was Padme. She was a queen. She looked this way. Could he do something where he kind of passes her a memory through the Force?
Like a Vulcan mind?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say, like, is he going to, split her cheek and eye and shit and do the Spock, but something like that?
I mean,
or is that too much?
What I will say is that we've already seen it shown in this series and in the sequel trilogy that, like, people can extract memories from people. Like, we've seen Reva pull information out of somebody's head.
Well, hell, we saw her do it. She did exactly what Vader did to Luke in Return of the Jedi, where Luke's hiding, but because his emotions are so amped up, Vader could literally sense what he was thinking about, and he's like, sister, so Obi-Wan's failure is complete. And so maybe Leia just being around him and, like, just from her nascent Force ability somehow picks up on his thoughts of her mother, and that's how she gets some of the feelings and visuals. I don't know. I do think that it's probably possible. I mean, like, it's the Force and it's fake anyway, so they can make anything possible that they want. But, like, it's probably possible that you can share memories with people, that you can Force project a memory into somebody else's mind. Okay. I think that would be possible. We've had 2 episodes now where Obi-Wan has had a clear moment where it almost takes his breath away when he realizes, like, my God, this is fucking Padme, one of my greatest friends. And he's talked about her twice. I just feel like naturally by the end of the series, he may just be like, you know what? Hey, I knew your mother. This is who she was. And maybe gives her a hollow recording of her or something.
Maybe, yeah. I think that, I'm curious to see too, like, the Organa home life is of, like, so much intrigue to me, because, like, you would have imagined that it probably wasn't hard for them to raise her and say, like, oh no, like, you were our kid, like, whatever. Like, they didn't have to tell her that she was adopted.
And she knows.
Somebody but she knows. So, like, it seems like that family is relatively open with this girl about, like, some information. And I wonder if she gets to a point to when she's, like, right before we meet, late teens, 18, 17, 18, right before we meet her in the OT, that, like, Bale just tells her, like, this was your mother. Yeah. Like, your mother was Padme Amidala.
Yeah, it's like, why hide it? I mean, Padme is not Darth Vader. So I don't know why hiding her mom's identity does anything.
And the thing is like, even if she knows she's Padme's kid, like, nobody else knew that that Padme was Anakin's wife. Nobody else knew that these kids are Anakin's kids. Like, so even her having that information is not going to be of detriment to her unless Vader finds out. That would be the only way that would be of true detriment to her, is if Vader found out. Because not even Vader's closest confidants other than the fucking Emperor knows that these are his kids. So
Right.
I don't think it would damage her in any way or put her in
I mean,
harm's way.
even the Emperor didn't know Leia existed. I mean, it truly was in that throne room scene towards the end of Jedi where Vader's like, "Oh, I snuffed out the final secret from, my former shithead master trying to get one over on me." Hey, I don't know. Well, that's a lot on little Leia, but clearly she speaks to us. And sorry for getting
she's the highlight for me.
Sorry for getting all mushy on you. I can't help it. I think it's like a lot of my Star Wars emotions where I tie them to real life, but it's also beautiful in universe. Like, just slow down and listen to the conversations he has with this young lady and what he's telling her without telling her about her real mom. It's fucking beautiful. It's awesome. And the whole, the real dad thing, that is just like, Jesus. This show, man, they know how to write these dialogue moments between these two, because that is a great question for her to ask Obi-Wan. Like, are you my real dad? And knowing that he's not, but he does know who it is, and he now knows that her real dad's fucking Darth Vader and terrorizing the galaxy. Man, deep shit. All right. I'm glad you brought up the Organas, by the way. Loved episode 1 and those moments on Alderaan. Just fantastic stuff. One day they're all going to be looking at you, Leia, and it's like, oh, Jesus, that's a line, because if you think about it, the whole planet was looking at her on the Death Star right before it fucking exploded. So, real quick, I want to address some of the comments in here. Sorry, everyone, we're getting deep into this stuff. So Tones has been going off here with some good questions. Qui-Gon is coming. They've set the stage. He's not just going to be reaching out. And, I know we've talked about this previously with some of the leaks, but you're probably not really going to get Qui-Gon in it until maybe the next fight, and getting that Mickey to Rocky relationship. Like, come on, Ben, you can do it. And then I think by the end, we're probably going to see him in full form. The other one here, I think we've now seen all the trailer TV spots, and I was wrong. They were fighting on Mapuzo. Remember weeks ago, Nick? I was like, look, he's on a desert planet with a gun. Has he gotten back to Tatooine? And now we know he did not. This was Mapuzo, where all that was happening. Okay.
God, man, it's so many desert planets on Star Wars. Just like, give me one that's just like, man, nice trees and shit. We're gonna spend some time here where there are trees.
You went to what, Corvus, and there were some nice trees, but then when you look in the distance, Thrawn's fucking wiping them all out. So
they're all fucking dead.
Navarro is a black lava desert planet. Mustafar is just a lava planet. You're right. I mean, I dug Dayu. Not that we got to see much of it outside the city, but I dug that city. It reminded me of a few spots we've seen in Bad Batch and Clone Wars and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they keep things drab here. Not much to say here, but you had to love this death of the Stormtrooper. I actually think it's probably the greatest Stormtrooper death in all of Star Wars, where even though he had the high ground, as Tone shared in a meme, it didn't matter. Obi-Wan shot him down, and then he got his ass split in half. And I know there's been a lot of people going around like, hey, you could have just walked around the gate instead of shooting it. But hopefully when everyone understands that the gate was meant to block vehicles, not humans. But yeah, Obi-Wan took the extra step just in case young Leia was going to try to jump over it like a hurdle and not make it. So... but I love the death. It was a great visual. I'm glad they're willing to go to these levels of violence, if you will. All right, so kind of moving on with some of our top moments from Kenobi Part 3 here. Here's Ned B. I do like Ned B. It's kind of cool to have a silent droid, and like Tala said, actions speak louder than words, and sure as shit, he kind of pays off on that in the end. But there's a lot of stuff to unpack once they meet Tala. I already talked about how, Kenobi's reaction, like, why are you sacrificing yourself to try and fight back? Like, you can see Kenobi wants nothing to do with resisting the Empire. I mean, he's truly, just like Luke, we fucking lost. I blew it. I'm not fucking around. Like, you people are crazy. They're too strong. We're not going to win. But the deep shit in here is we get some exposition on something called the Path, Nick, which is essentially the underground railroad for Force sensitives to keep them from the Inquisitorius.
Yeah.
That was great knowledge. Getting the Quinlan Voss, just casual mention. Quinlan was here? If anyone knows the relationship between Obi-Wan and Quinlan, that's a big moment. Not only because it confirms in live action canon that Quinlan Voss is still around and he is helping the path in this resistance movement, but it harkens back to their relationship in the Clone Wars. And while I think it was only featured over maybe an episode 2 at most,
yeah, I think it was 2.
I'm not saying they were completely different Jedi, but that's what made them work well together. Like Quinlan was, I would say, more akin to Qui-Gon, a little looser, a little more into like the living force and not being so rigid and strict. Where we know our guy, he's kind of a by the booker. But just that slight casual callback, Quinlan was here. And how about this? We also learned through this conversation, Nick, that not only do the Mandalorians have a way, but so do the Jedi.
The
right?
Jedi, yeah.
Here's the quote from Quinlan. Only when the eyes are closed can you truly see. And Leia goes, see what? And Obi-Wan goes, the way. So
yeah,
how about that?
It's kind of weird. It's very similar to, I mean, but that's the thing though, is like when you have to realize the real tiebacks to disadvantaged and hunted races in our world. Like when you figure what happened to the Mandalorians after the Night of 1,000 Tears, they all had to go underground. There was no choice. They were being hunted, literally hunted. The same thing's happening with the Jedi. Same thing happened with black people in America in the 1800s. With slavery, which is why the Underground Railroad existed.
Watch out, Nick. If people are listening in the South, they're not allowed to hear that anymore. It might make them feel bad.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
Is this? They can't teach that in schools anymore.
I don't want to get
here.
Ron DeSantis after us. All right?
Jesus, but I mean, like, it's the same thing. Like if you look at the Mandalorian Creed, well, the Mandalorian Creed under the armor and stuff like that. You know, when your eyes are closed, you know, when you're covering your face and stuff like that, wearing a helmet all the way, the way is shown because now you have safety. You have the ability to have safety without showing yourself,
right? Which
is like so paramount to people who are being hunted, who are being oppressed and everything like that. Like, yeah, when it is a very poignant message that ties back to both real life and to other properties in Star Wars, namely.
I don't know if you know, but has the path been explored in other canon or legends possibly? Like the idea of the Force-sensitive Underground Railroad?
Not that I was aware of. I didn't read all of the prequel novels at the time, or like the between novels. But here's the thing that happened in the old EU is they didn't really explore the era of post Order 66 all that much.
It wasn't really there yet, right? I mean, because Order 66 didn't come into canon until 2005.
Until 2005, exactly. So your first novels that were written post, I guess you would say like pre A New Hope really didn't discuss that all that much. Right. Like there was Rise of the Dark Lord, which brought up no mention of like an underground railroad or a path for safety for Jedi. And then there was another follow-up after that, and there wasn't anything that was really akin to it.
Okay.
I think the most that we ever got that was like truly delved into post Order 66 pre-episode 4 content was like the Force Unleashed games. And in that one, you didn't really see like a way out for Jedi or like a path to safety for Jedi, which is more like they were scattered across the galaxy, and that was when you kind of interacted.
And that was even pre-Inquisitors. I mean, Inquisitors is all Rebels thing. So yeah, and I think you're right. So it's probably one of the first deals, and it's going to be a part of this show. I mean, clearly he's going to end up on this Jabeam, which seems to be like the safe haven for these Force sensitives. And if you listen closely, it's not just former Jedi. It's the new crops of children that are showing Force sensitivity.
Yeah, Force sensitive children.
Because if the Empire finds them, they either conscript or kill. So, Tala and Quinlan, and maybe even Haja is a part of this. I do think he is. I mean, that medallion he gives to Kenobi. I mean, he's the one that set up the meeting with Tala, so he's clearly connected to this path movement. And I think we're going to get a lot of that in episode 4, maybe even a bit in episode 5. Tones, I will give you credit. You were right. Those little things shooting out of Fortress Inquisitorius were indeed probe droids. Good call there. You beat me there. I'm still going to say my track record of speculation wins is at a champion level compared to everyone else. But I can concede when others were correct. What else we got here? Matt, what happened to your face? My face has never been that screen ready, but I have, as they say in the Adam Project, grown a mouth mullet. Okay.
That mustache honestly fits along perfectly now with Top Gun Maverick.
Hell yeah, dude.
Fit right in.
I did get to see it Sunday.
That movie's fucking awesome.
I mean, that's been the word from the one thing I guess, I don't want to sound like a douchebag, but the fact that Fox News has latched onto it as like the first real American movie in years kind of drives me slightly nuts. But
I didn't even know that. But
oh, dude, it is a champion of the far right because they're like, this is finally Hollywood's giving us a real American values movie. It's like, all right, well, cool.
I mean, it's just like the first one. The first one was a military propaganda film, and so is this one. I mean, after the first,
this
movie,
one isn't really even like, yeah, let's go fight. It's like, look how fucking rad it would be to be a fighter pilot. It
is. Navy. I don't know if you saw this. Navy recruitment went up 500%.
No
since
shit.
That movie
well, hey,
came out.
It worked then.
So that's the same thing that happened when the first one came out. Navy recruitment went up 400% when the first one came out. So. Still, it was a fucking fun movie. Taylor wants to see it again. It's the first movie I've ever seen with Taylor in a theater where she's like, we got to go see it again.
Oh, wow.
Like, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was great. I mean, listen, this is no bullshit. This is legit. Tom Cruise is the most impressive actor, performer, movie maker of our lifetime. Challenge me. Guy's been going for 40 years. Being at the top of his game.
Looks like he's 40 years old.
I don't know what the fuck goes on in Scientology, but he's definitely cut a deal with some being that we don't know about and whatever. It works. He might be weird as fuck. Like, I don't know what it'd be like to sit in a room with Tom Cruise. It could be kind of scary, but the franchises the guy's had has spanned decades. He does all his own stunts. He flies those fucking jets. He owns fucking jets. He hangs on planes. He makes kick-ass action movies. I mean, who's better? I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes. His career dried up after he went into politics. I love Stallone. He looks like a bloated human growth hormone experiment at this point in time. And, you get a Rocky at 10 here or there, a Rambo 50 here or there. The Rock... Sure, he's bankable as fuck, but where are his franchises? Where's the bankable franchises? Tom Cruise, hands down, is the most impressive Hollywood everything in our lifetime, if not of all time. Think about it. Think about the money he generates and just what he does as a performer. He's no, all right, cut, bring in the stunt guy. This fucking crazy dude is in there.
Yeah.
He
will hold on to airplanes as they take off. He'll fucking speed down roadways and fucking on motorcycles and shit like that. No care about.
Yeah, no helmets, nothing like that. That's fucking him riding those bikes. It's been explained to me like Tom Cruise is essentially just he either pays the productions like, listen, here's your fucking insurance money. I'm doing whatever I want, or to even get him, they have to agree to like, all right, our lead could die. Our lead actor could literally die making the movie, but that's how he wants to do it, so let's do it. I recommend, I don't know, I think it might be on Paramount Plus if you're still subbing Nick. He does a little thing with James Corden that it's kind of worth watching just because you see Tom Cruise literally flying fucking jets by himself. Like, he is flying a jet. Not just a prop plane, which he also flies. He's flying a fucking jet. All right. 1-6 does not like Tom Cruise. Just like I get that. Like I said, I mean he is someone that that wins all the time, and a lot of times those and he's weird. Like, trust me, when the thing with
Like,
Katie Holmes,
the Scientology angle makes me feel icky about him for sure.
Correct.
Because Scientology is a fucked up religion, but so is Catholicism.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm a firm believer in religion has done nothing to help this world.
No, it's no
I mean,
good.
if it helps you. If it helps you
it's
personally,
control.
that's totally fine.
It's
it
control.
is a level of control.
Religion was created by those in power when there was no knowledge or reading or books to control the masses. I was anointed by this thing in the sky. Listen to me or you will die. It's very simple, but this is not a theology podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, everything with Tala was great. I think Indira's doing a kick-ass job. We knew she was going to be a double agent, so that wasn't a surprise. But I like the type of character she is. I think Tala is going to be a nice addition to the Star Wars canon in general. Does she make it out of this? Who knows? It looks like for the time being, her and Ned B will be hanging with Kenobi for the rest of the series. So lots of good stuff there. But really, what everyone took from this episode are our next few screenshots here if you're on the live stream. The arrival of the Dark Lord himself. You knew it was coming even before people started screaming because Obi-Wan's heart sank. I mean, he just went like, he could sense it. Like, uh-oh. Anakin's here. And then you hear the like people just see him and start fucking screaming. Yeah, and then once he hits Main Street and he just starts indiscriminately force choking a dude out of his window and then neck snapping his son. And then that one lady he just dragged for a few meters before he wiped her out. Without even saying a word, he's flushing out his prey. I mean, this was as cat and mouse as it gets. He was toying with him 100% from start to finish, from the time he arrived in that town to the time where he just kind of stood there and let him get rescued. He was fucking with him because he knew he could. He knew he's got him in the mental game and the physical game right now. But yeah, I mean, Vader just calmly strolling through the street, not even looking at his victims. That's the best part. Like, he doesn't even give them the satisfaction of looking in their eyes as he kills them, tortures them. He just, it'd be like me looking straight ahead and going, "Hey, Nick, beer me." Like, just, throw me a drink, pal. I'm doing something right now. I don't need to. Yeah, exactly. I don't need to look at it. But it was
like throwing away a piece of garbage.
Exactly.
You just ball it up and you toss it in the can.
Like you said, like this stuff affects him. None at all. Like, not at all. Like, none of this affects him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's stirring up the fear, stirring up the pain to make himself more focused and strong, but also to weaken Obi-Wan and eventually flush him out. Because hell, Vader didn't even get to where they were staying before Obi-Wan's like, "All right, fuck it, you got to go. Like, I'm giving up my duty of protecting Leia. You got to go. Like, if you're around me, this guy he found me. Like, he doesn't even have to see me. He knows exactly where I'm going to be at all times." And, then they get into the mine area and you are getting that chase and you are getting the taunts from Vader. Some of his best battle taunts yet. And notice he doesn't run. He doesn't jog. He's just plodding along, chasing the mouse from one corner to the next. Yeah,
like Jason. Like I was saying, it's like a Jason effect from. It doesn't matter where you go, how fast you run, he will catch you somehow, some way.
I do think the chase gets a little weird when they're shooting it in the volume because they do just kind of move the camera around and he pops out from another side of the arena. But whatever. Like I said, I don't watch Star Wars to critique the technical aspect of it. Same thing with the Vespas and Boba. Like, yeah, okay, they look weird, but I'm not going to let that take me out of the moment. I mean, I was sitting here listening intently to Anakin Skywalker just mindfuck his former brother. I mean, it was fantastic. The line, "What have they done to you, Anakin?" And his reply, again, blaming Obi-Wan. "This is your fault. I'm like this because of you." And you know what? He's partly right. I mean, Obi-Wan, as Vader said, you should have killed me when you had the chance, and that's probably there's no more true statement in all of Star Wars than that.
Yeah, it's definitely partially Obi-Wan's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, even as a best friend, you don't just cut somebody's legs off and then leave them
Let them
there.
burn.
It's
Like he was watching him cook. Like he was watching him burn.
Even like lobsters, you stab them in the head before you boil them. Like you just put them out of their misery.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
You know, like he couldn't even take the 5 seconds to just cut his fucking head off. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. It was one of those inevitable moments. Like it was one of those moments where, like, as soon as you saw Vader, you knew that regardless of what Obi-Wan could do, he was gonna encounter him. Yeah, like they were gonna come to blows,
and he would have no chance in the encounter. Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair to say if Vader wanted to, he could have snuffed out Kenobi 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. I mean, he had multiple chances here to kill him. But as he said, he's like, as he says, when he, I'll pull up the shot here. When he finally, there were some great shots. Like stills and the lighting. I think they did a fantastic job. But when he finally had enough of beating him with his lightsaber, and he just starts force choking his ass, and he tells him straight up, "Now you will suffer, Obi-Wan." All right, so he knows what he's doing. I mean, he could have just broke his neck right there too. And then he decides, like, hey, you want to see what it feels like to hang out and fire? Well, here we go. Let's try it out.
Like,
so I love when he rushes in. That's the most intensity Vader moved with. When he moved in, and is like two moves. He pulls down that cauldron of that flammable shit, and then just chokes him out and is holding him there, and he starts to taunt him. Then when he's dragging him through the flames, your pain has just begun. Like he doesn't want to kill Kenobi. He wants to make Obi-Wan feel like he did on the banks of Mustafar. Yeah. And after, he wants him to burn and suffer and be miserable. And you could argue that's what ultimately allowed Obi-Wan to get away, was Vader's toying with him. But Vader didn't care. I mean, again, he could have stopped all that. Hell, he's the one that put the flames out in the first place and pushed Obi-Wan further away towards Ned. But I think Vader was almost caught in the moment of, I'm finally realizing what I've been dreaming for 10 years. And, maybe he let that kind of take over a bit to lose his prey. But what a moment. I mean, everything from seeing Obi-Wan burned like his former apprentice to Vader, like Nick perfectly said early on the cast, just sitting there emotionless. The guy just terrorized the town, found his old master that he hates, choked him out, dragged him through fire. He got away, and he's just fucking standing there like, he's sitting around the campfire getting ready to roast some marshmallows. You know what I mean? He's just like, hey, whatever. Just another day as Darth Vader.
I'll get him again. I'll get him again.
He's sitting there, that was kind of fun. I want to do that again. So I'll let him go. See ya. Let's keep playing this game.
It's wild because if it was, you saw, just look at, again, going back to the end of Rots, like you saw Lord Vader, quote unquote, like Anakin pre-suit, like how he was in the face of his supposed betrayer. At the face of Obi-Wan before they started their battle on Mustafar, he had a lot to say, and he was not going to let Obi-Wan stop him from saying his piece before the fight ensued. This time, he didn't need words. He was like, I don't need to talk to you. I don't need to tell you how I feel or anything like that. I will make you feel how I feel. I mean,
he kindly answered any question Obi-Wan asked him, but outside of that, he was, just playing with a rag doll mostly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wild.
He OP'd him. Tones all dress that. I've heard this too. A lot of people are like, how'd Reva get in front of Leia? Well, if you look closely, Reva's exploring that back room, and when she sees the tunnel system, there's literally a look that on her face like, I know where she's going. So instead of going through all these secret tunnels, she probably just took the direct route to the landing platform.
Yeah.
A lot of people were thinking like she was already in the tunnels chasing Leia. No, she never entered the tunnel. She just realized like, oh shit, They went this way. They're probably looking to egress. The egress point is going to be at a port. I'm just going to cut them off at the pass. That's what I look at. Again, I don't quite focus on that type of stuff because it made sense to me.
Ultimately matter. Yeah. Like
you knew once they separated that Leia was going to get captured, so it's going to happen.
You knew that from the. I mean, you basically knew that from the trailer. Like whenever they showed, like there's still stuff from the trailer that we haven't seen yet.
That is
like,
right. I was wrong on that. Yeah, because remember the fight in the hangar on Fortress Inquisitorius
or whatever it is. Do you think that's Camino?
No, it's Nur. It's Nur. It is a defined planet. It actually was featured in Jedi Fallen Order. Just goes to show how much we paid attention to that game. So
I can't remember it.
The fortress itself literally is in Fallen Order. That's there's a lot of those fans when they saw it in Kenobi, like, yeah, Nur and Inquisitorius is sweet. So yeah. There you go. I mean, a great episode, and what do we think's going to happen tomorrow? Well, we got to pick up right where I think we left off. I mean, how they get Kenobi away from the Empire, because they were literally separated by flames.
I was going to say, you're still on Mapuzo, which is under complete and utter lockdown.
Right.
Like, so I don't know if they're going to just switch to the point to where he's already gone, because that is going to be a pretty hard thing to do, is just get off the planet. Unless they just choose to leave him. Unless they're just like, whatever, just go. We got Leia. Let him come to us. Yeah. They know, at that point, they know, like, he's got to come. Like, I think pinned down.
I think that's a good speculation. I do. It's either that, or since Tala was the one in contact with the pilot, she probably knew where the ship was and how to get out, and they just go there on their own now, and she or Ned pilots them out. But yeah, we're gonna have to see Kenobi get healed, and that was not just a flesh wound, as they say in Monty Python. I mean, he's fucked. Like he's gonna have to spend some time in the bacta tank, just like Anakin does. Not as much time. But he's definitely going to have to get in a tank. And thankfully, for those that get concerned about canon, they did not burn his beautiful face, because you couldn't quite explain that when we see Alec Guinness and he looks completely fine and unburned. It's all stuff that'll be covered in Alec's tunic, so no worries there.
Like shoulder, arm
I mean,
area.
I know bacta can do wonders, but look at Vader. It can't fix that burnt of flesh. So.
Yeah, there's a point of disrepair where it can't,
somehow,
all you can do is just really
Boba Fett got that primo bacta, because he was somehow was able to undo his skin burns from the Sarlacc.
The entire fucking skin scarring.
He found that secret sauce, the mega bacta. It had like bantha jizz in it or something that goes the extra step to heal you.
They added some collagen to it.
But I mean, we'll probably see where Leia ends up. More than likely, she's going to get taken back to the fortress, which is probably going to be why we see that firefight in the hangar eventually. Maybe we finally get to see Jabeam. You would think that they would be taking Kenobi to Jabeam now that he's wounded and needs to heal and rest and to be around other rebels, resistance types, and possibly even Force users, right? Because that's where it sounds like they're taking everyone to this Jabeam place. But with that being said, if Kenobi does have to go down and we're not going to see speaking Ewan, that does open up for some potential flashbacks.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't remember from the leaks if this was the fight where Obi-Wan kind of realizes, like, all right, I can't face this guy. I need to figure myself out and how to confront Anakin as Vader now. Where, we heard the rumor that we are going to get a flashback to right after Attack of the Clones between Anakin and Obi-Wan sparring. And the sparring is going to kind of be the light bulb moment for Kenobi. Like, I remember.
That's the weakness.
Yes, this is how he fights in these moments, in these situations, and that's going to help me. So I do think we're due at least one more flashback, if not two, because I really believe there is going to be some Reva explanation, if anything through dialogue, but they do kind of have to explain how she knows Anakin is Vader and why she fucking hates Kenobi so much. Is it simply Vader saying, hey, if you get me him, you are the boss now? Has she fallen that far to the dark side that she cares about that shit? Or is it more personal, like a feeling of ultimate betrayal? Like, why did you leave us?
It seems odd that she is the one that is in direct contact with Vader. Even before the Grand Inquisitor was gut stabbed, it seemed like she had a direct line for some reason. So I still do think that there is a direct connection between Reva and Reva and Anakin as a Jedi, and then maybe her knowing that he was Vader from the start, like you mentioned in the beginning of the breakdown. And then 2, I think that even if there isn't a relationship directly between Reva and Kenobi, I think the relationship between Anakin and Reva is enough for her to feel this strongly about
off his
Kenobi.
hate for him. Yeah, because she even says some of the same things in episode 2, like, you can't run from him.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 you know, like that. So, I'd say at least guaranteed one flashback. It's going to happen. You can take that to the bank. It was leaked. This is not our leak. Our leak has already been paid off. We saw the first fight. We know there's still going to be a final one. So we win. Yeah. Everyone clap for us. Yay. Trophies can be sent to Columbus, Ohio.
One other thing before we close it out. If you're a Sith or an Inquisitor in this situation, and I'm talking about the end of episode 2, you stab somebody in the gut, why not just take the sword up and just cut them in half?
Yeah,
like, it doesn't take that much effort. like it literally cuts through flesh like nothing.
I know.
Why not just fucking, like, instead of being like, stab, oh yeah, fucking you're dead, I stabbed you in the gut, just like cut this motherfucker in half.
Well,
like, just
in
literally,
that case, Nick,
like,
it was called preserving the canon. I think that's why she couldn't do it. But you know what? I mean, you bring up interesting points here. If you think about it, what we're seeing between the fifth brother and Reva and the Grand Inquisitor before he's taking his little break, you see why Sith can't, or I know they're not Sith, but you see why dark side users can't operate in large numbers. I mean,
they can't.
All three of them. The only one, like the fourth sister, is so far the only one that's not trying to one up the others and get favor with Vader. They're all trying to, like, hey, Daddy Vader, look at me, look what I did, look what I did. The fifth brother, it's my turn. They're all a bunch of shitheads, man. That's why Bane had to do what he had to do, because the dark side motherfuckers out there just can't cohabitate with like-minded individuals.
Sit in a room together without just like arguments happening. But yeah, the fourth sister is like, yeah, that's fine. Like, y'all can go. You can both fight to be the Grand Inquisitor, because that's not some shit that I want to deal with. It's like, do you really want to have to fuck with Vader face to face every day? Because I don't. Like, that's not on my to-do list. So
it's been entertaining just seeing how they interact with each other. I don't think any of the Inquisitors would come to the aid of another Inquisitor outside of, what was that, eighth brother and seventh sister and Rebels. They seem to kind of fight as a pair against Maul, Ezra, and Kanan. But yeah, these early ones are a bunch of fucking self-righteous, ambitious assholes. Like, what awful things can I do to win favor here? Adrian in the chat, I'm with you. I mentioned that earlier, that she also could be upset seeing the broadcast of him essentially saying all hope is lost, any remaining Jedi do not come back to the temple. And she could see that as a betrayal moment.
Shit.
Yeah,
that could definitely happen.
But it almost sounds like they find her like out and about on the street. You know how he was calling her like a sewer rat, like, yo, when we found you, you sewer rat and you scumbag. And so there's a chance she does get out of the temple and hid for a time before they did find her. So
she just wasn't as old as Cal,
right?
Or like wasn't as like up to what's happening.
It does seem like after the initial Order 66 purge of the temple that they did try to at least conscript Force users, and if they came along, they became Inquisitors. If they didn't, they got killed. Versus where, the way it was presented in Revenge of the Sith, it was, if you were at the temple, you fucking died. If you were on the battlefield, you died. Like, there was no sparing of anyone. So she clearly gets out. It's just, when do they find her? Do they find her on the streets? Do they find her hiding in the temple? Did she literally see Obi-Wan and Yoda come back? And she's sitting there like, I'm down here in this fucking crack. Help me out, motherfuckers. And they're just like, we gotta get the hell out of here. You kill him. See you later. We'll meet you back at the Tantive 4.
We fucking bounce. Yeah. So, we'll see. Hopefully, I do feel like we're gonna get an explanation to that scene.
Yeah, but it's just, again, fans in quotes that, I don't know. It's like, what shows do you watch? Because you seem to be watching different things than me. It seems most things are kind of there. And if you have been following the universe, the dots aren't that hard to connect. So yeah, just like Trevor's saying, like Trevor, it's one of these deals, like the reason we keep talking about it, because if you're exposed to a lot of the lunacy of the fandom like I am, I mean, there are people out there like wanting to burn Disney down again because Reva knows Anakin's Vader. So that's kind of why we're putting focus on it. I know most normal people are like, yeah, it'll make sense in the end. Like, there's nothing to get your fucking panties in a bunch over. All right, so episode 4 dropping tomorrow, or if you're listening to the audio only, it's Kenobi Day.
It's out.
You're for damn sure. I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I mean, I guess those of you that have tried checking out the shorts versus my longer form breakdowns of Star Wars shows, I'm at a conundrum point right here. Is like, for episode 4, do I do a deeper dive traditional YouTube video? Do I stick to the short ones, or do I do a mix of both? Like, just do a long form for something that fans may be searching for, but then do the short stuff for like the quick hits. Who knows? I'm sure I'll stress about it and I'll waste half my life tomorrow, but you will have content in some form or fashion on the Star Wars Time Show YouTube channel tomorrow, June 8th, for Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 1V. That's 4 for those of you that don't understand Roman numerals. Okay, dude. So moving on. This is something new here. Instead of doing posts on the website for certain news topics, I've just started, if I have 10, 15 minutes, I'll do short form content, and it seems to pay off. But this is a rumor that, well, it wasn't necessarily a rumor. It's turned into a rumor, but now MSW is reporting some stuff that is probably legit, and I'm talking about Season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. In an official interview, Ewan McGregor's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. If it makes sense, let's do it. And recently, I think over the weekend, Making Star Wars came out with a report that has officially, that he's saying he's been told that Kenobi Season 2 is on. And it's so on, it sounds like they may be changing parts of the ending of Season 1.
Wow.
And again, I know, we talk shit about pooflingers left and right. There are some that are just garbage, in my opinion, and just, chase clout and put things behind paywalls and are asswipes. But Making Star Wars, he gets his shit, and it is almost always right. I mean, so far he's pretty much laid out the entire Kenobi series, at least as far as I was willing to read it. So if he's saying that Kenobi Season 2 is a thing, I'm leaning towards it is going to be a thing. And he was also saying some of the stuff that was supposed to happen at the end with certain characters may not happen now to account for Season 2. And
I guarantee you that they filmed probably 3 different endings for the show.
Yeah.
They knew.
Yeah, you would hope at this point they have some foresight with this stuff, right, Nick? Like,
yeah,
this could hit big like Mando. It could fizzle like Boba, but we got to prepare. Like, we technically have a story in mind for Season 2, but if the fans don't like it, then fuck it. We'll just close it out in Season 1, run that ending. If we're feeling the positive vibes and it was the most watched streaming show, I believe, ever, then they're probably like, all right, let's roll in the backup plan, the Season 2 green light plan. I don't think, it didn't sound like they're going to have to go do any reshoots or anything to account for this. Clearly they couldn't. The show's in the fucking can, like Nick said. I mean, they couldn't just be like, oh shit, people like it. Hey, Ewan, Moses, the rest of you, run down here to LA real quick. We're going to shoot a quick scene and just somehow jam it into the pipeline. No, that stuff is done. So I don't want to get into, who or may not be being kept, but, think about it. Think about some of the characters introduced in this first go around in Kenobi and how they could impact a second season if it is true. But I am inclined to believe it is, and I'm okay with it. So far, they've shown me that they can tell a Kenobi story that is engaging, world building, lore deepening, and Vader ass kicking. And as long as it doesn't butt into other existing canon, I don't give a shit. Like I truly think everything so far that they've done only enhances what was given to us in the original trilogy with the Skywalker twins, quotes from Vader, speeches from Obi-Wan. I think in the end, it's only going to be enhanced.
Yeah. I mean, given the nature of what we know about the original trilogy, which was basically that, like, regardless of what happens between 3 and 4, like, you can say whatever bullshit you want to say that they're going to ruin canon. Regardless of what happens between season 3 and 4, we know that nobody knows that Luke is on fucking Tatooine. Like, we know it. We know that. So they can do whatever they want in between those two time periods as long as Kenobi's on Tatooine before episode 4 starts. Like, that is just the reality of the fact of it. Like, nobody knows he's there. Fucking Vader didn't know he's there, and Vader was from Tatooine. Like, he did. So like, as long as you maintain the continuity between, like, the fact that Old Ben eventually buys or comes into a house in the wastes, then it's fine. Like,
it's just, I don't know. We're somewhat sane. You much more so than myself, but I trust these people, and one of them's Dave Filoni. Yes, he doesn't have a direct hand in this, but has everyone seen his message at the end of every episode? Special thanks to Dave Filoni. He's there to ensure the canon remains what it needs to be. That's all I need. In Filoni, I trust. Okay, I trust the Chow. For some parts, I trust KK. Don't throw tomatoes at me, but she's guiding this ship. She's been guiding a lot of Lucas Spielberg properties her whole life. So if those guys are down with her, I think she probably does something right. Even though, we can definitely question the decisions with the sequel trilogy, 100%. But you got to lump in Bob Iger and a lot of the other decision makers there too. So I would take, after seeing what we've seen so far at the halfway point, Kenobi Season 2, if this is indeed legit, bring it on. I think it's only going to enhance, and I'm down with that. Just like Andor is only going to enhance, Rebels content and Rogue One content. It all works out. It's that interconnected universe that Filoni talks about all the time, and that's what we are living through right now. Better than George did himself. A lot of people, you're getting angry at Disney. George Lucas was the first one to ruin his own canon, okay? I mean, he wrote Star Wars, and that was it. It's not like he had Empire. I mean, hell, he had fucking siblings making out, and there was like a legit love triangle between Luke, Leia, and Han. I mean, it plays all the way through Return of the Jedi. Han Solo, literally until Leia says, "You dummy, he's my brother." Like, Han's literally ready to say, okay, you can have Luke. You guys get married and shit. So, I mean, come on. I mean, half the stuff Obi-Wan says in A New Hope now becomes from a certain point of view because of what happened in the prequels. And that was all from the guy, the maker. So just, it's okay. It's okay. His son is there ensuring things will stay intact. If not, be enhanced. All right. Next little quick one here. We got a rumor again from MSW, backed up by Bespin Bulletin, that the live-action Darth Vader team, and it is a team. I mean, it's that Tom guy, Hayden, and some other guy, and there's even like a movement expert for Vader. So it's a true squad to bring him to life. But apparently that team has been activated for another live-action property. And if you think about, okay, well, what's on the horizon? Okay, Ahsoka, Vader and Ahsoka. Well, it depends. If you did a flashback, it works. If you don't, it doesn't work. But why would you do a flashback? Would you just rehash what was shown in Rebels, where their battle? Maybe she's having a night terror, and that's where we see her, where she finally realizes that, oh my God, this guy is my former master. I kind of threw out there, what about Andor Season 2? I mean, he's clearly viable for that timeline.
Yeah, he's definitely available. He's definitely available for that.
You know, maybe, hell, I know this is a dream of all of ours, but what if they're finally ready to do it and he's getting a little mini series?
Getting his own, 6 episodes.
You know, more than likely, just because we know, wink, wink, Hayden is attached to Ahsoka, that may make sense via a flashback and flashback only. But you know, there's other properties that have not been shot yet that he would be viable for, and really the dream would be his own. But I don't know. I think they're like averse to that type. I don't get it, because they had to have seen, even the negative fans after episode 3, at least those final moments. You know, they popped their fan chub. So someone at Lucasfilm has to see that, like, Vader equals awesome equals viewers equals cash.
And I think that, like, sacred cows are starting to kind of die out now in Lucasfilm's mind, especially after the inclusion of Luke in book, because, like, Luke being at the end of fucking Mando S2 was like, oh my God, I can't believe they did it. I can't believe they actually put Luke Skywalker in something. And then now, like, he's been in book. Now Obi-Wan's got his own series. Now Ahsoka's getting their own series. Like, all of these sacred cows that were like, we can't really fucking touch these because people are going to freak out. Like, they've all started to kind of fall away once they realize that, like, if you do it well, people are going to enjoy it. And, like, for the most part, like, the people who are watching it are enjoying it, and there's, like, a lot of, I mean, there are a lot of, like, dumbass racist motherfuckers out there who watch Star Wars that just outed themselves recently, but, like, in general, people enjoy seeing these tentpole characters focused on more critically, and, like, having a lens, like, put more light on their story. So I think that, like, after seeing the reception to this show, I think that a Vader show is probably, if not greenlit, like, being seriously.
Yeah, they're finally
about.
At least talking about it. All right, I can take solace with that.
Yeah.
Tone, you are correct.
Jude Law show.
Yeah, it's Mando timeline.
Yes.
Did they announce the? I know we got Tales of the Jedi. That sounds great. It's essentially like an addendum to the Clone Wars.
An anthology
but
series.
Didn't they announce it? Isn't there another one that's, like, going to be High Republic set that isn't the Acolyte? Like I said, I'm a little woozy after 2 weeks at the beach and drinking most days, but I thought there was going to be another, either like a cartoon or something set High Republic-y. Oh well, who cares? But yeah, Skeleton Crew is definitely Mando timeline with Jude Law. Okay, so hey, you know us at the SWTS, we would take as much Vader as you can give us. So it'd be great if it's his own series, but more than likely, it's probably going to be one of the ones that are upcoming as it was reported. And please, if you're going to comment on my content, at least make sure they're intelligent. I had someone reply to this like, "Yeah, he's in Kenobi, shaking my fucking head." I'm like, all right, you're stupid.
What?
So I'll just move on. Well, he's probably one of these people that literally, even in a short, like this might be 40 seconds long, just looked at the first slide that says, new rumors suggest live action Vader to appear in an upcoming series, and was like, this guy's an idiot. It's Kenobi, you fucking dummy.
It's like, asshole, that's not upcoming. It's out.
Thank you. Now you understand why I can't stand humans. I was just like, are you fucking for real? And someone else said, I think this was stolen. I'm like, what do you mean stolen? Stolen because I reported on someone. I reported on someone's leak, and unlike anyone else in this fucking fandom that does content, I actually gave them credit. That's what I mean. People can't even get through fucking 30 seconds worth of shit anymore. It's like title, mind made up, blah, comment. I mean, that's what it is. It's fucking idiots. Stolen. I literally say via MSW, corroborated by Bespin Bulletin. Do you think those motherfuckers would ever give us a shout out? No. I'm a good guy. I might be a little fucking angry, but I know how the journalist shit. Stolen. Dummies. All right, here's another one I did on a short. Like I said, all of you have been missing out on these shorts if you're not, subscribed to the YouTube channel. So if you're new here, go ahead and do that right now while I'm reminding you. Just scroll down a little bit, sub, turn on notifications. I try to do shorts at least every other day or day if there's something to talk about. But this one came out last week or over the weekend that this actress named Shakira Barrera is rumored to be cast in a live-action Ahsoka series. And I was like, well, let's guess who she could be playing. And if you're on the live stream, she definitely has a Latin feel. Is that safe to say, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, she
like a Latina.
I think she is Latina. I looked her up before.
The name speaks to it. So Barrera, I mean, that's pretty. It's pretty Latina or Latino as you would say.
Nicaraguan American.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, South America. All right, so with that in tow, I don't want to just kind of judge a book by its cover, but to me, if you're on the live stream and you're checking her out right now, and we're talking live action Ahsoka, could she be one of the Martez sisters, either Trace or Rafa? I mean, you got to think that they had a 3-series arc together. There was a bond formed between them all. Growth between her and Rafa and their contentious relationship. Then the Bad Batch showed us already that the Martez sisters are following in Ahsoka's footsteps, and they are helping with the early resistance movement. I hope everyone remembers that episode. The Bad Batch runs into the Martez sisters at that plant who were trying to steal that droid brain. In the end, we learned it was for Rex and Ahsoka's movement that they're doing. So the fact that even after the fall of the Republic into the Bad Batch timeline, the Martez sisters are still working with Ahsoka, I don't think it's a big ask or stretch that a Martez sister would show up in the Ahsoka series timeline. Like that, yeah. They have that bond, that relationship is established.
Yeah, I would... If I had to guess, I would say Trace because
they were more friends. Trace and Ahsoka were like the friends where Rafa was the older sister.
Yeah, Rafa was like the older sister who was already like if you really do kind of pull out to where this show is going to end up falling in a timeline, she may be a little too young to play Rafa because Rafa was already older than Trace. True. But yeah, like you mentioned too, like those were the two, Trace and Ahsoka, who were actually like,
yeah, I mean they would have put on, what are we talking about, 20 plus years from when we saw them at the end of the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, and like, yeah. If we're working in Mando timeline for sure,
which is like 7 after Jedi, so yeah,
so it's like 26 years,
easily,
like that.
easily,
yeah. And then like if you look her up, she's only 32 years old, so she's still relatively young. But I mean, it just work. Depends on how you play it. Yeah,
it's not. I mean, Ahsoka's a fucking Togruta, so we don't know how they age. But I mean, she doesn't really look like an old hag in the live action timeline. So, but hell, I mean, Ahsoka would be like Boba Fett's age, so in her very late 30s or early 40s, really.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't that much younger than even Anakin. I think that's another fun thing to think about. Like, we're seeing 32-year-old Anakin and just like how fucking zombie-like and angry he is. Like, just think about that dude's life. Starts as a slave, gets conscripted into the Jedi with the hopes of being the chosen one, fucks it all up, kills his wife, loses everything, including his body parts.
Yeah,
he does all. Nick, he did all that by like 22. Like by
I know,
22,
right? What a fucking.
He completely torched his life because of his fucking ego and his inability to just trust in the Force and the Jedi way. I mean, his son was very similar, but Luke had the ability to not go over the edge. You remember Luke, just like his dad. You know, his dad was sitting there like he thought at first like, yeah, I shouldn't chop off Dooku's head. It's not right. And then his puppet master's like, do it, and he does it. Luke would have never done that. He may have thought about it like his dad did, but he would have stopped. Just like he stopped not only in trying to kill his dad, but he also stops in the future when he thought he needed to kill his nephew. Luke has that ability to pull back from the Skywalker kind of foresight, where they know the future and they think they can prevent it, but Luke, unlike Anakin, can actually stop himself from trying to control the future, where that's why Anakin failed. He tried to control the future, took the easy way out, and look where it left his life. By 32, he's a husk of his former self, and he's horrendous. Like he's a horrific being in the galaxy. He is the I don't even want to try to say it. He is the exact opposite. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Of what his fate was described to him by Qui-Gon Jinn. He's the complete opposite. All right. So Shakira Barrera, possibly a Martez sister. That's at least the Star Wars Time Show's guess. So let's see if it's going to be taken to the bank or not. All right, last little short former here, and I guess there's some interesting things to talk about here, but over the weekend, someone was on their Disney Plus app, and you know how you get those banners that scroll across, and the Bad Batch one came through, and on it literally had the actual date. You know, at Celebration, they just said fall 22. But, user was out there checking things out, and they captured the screen, which says Bad Batch Season 2 releasing September 28. I actually did some journalizing, as they call it. Journalizing. Yeah. And I went and researched it. Sure enough, I found the video of a guy logging into his app live and scrolling through. So it was there at some point in time. I know it's been pulled. But Nick, the interesting thing about this is not that, yay, we're getting Bad Batch September 28th. It's going to directly air during Andor's run, because Andor kicks off August 31st. Andor is not going to be done by September 28th. So it's interesting. Do you think like an intern fucked up and put the wrong month, or are they going to try a dual release schedule for Star Wars content?
I think they may have to, given how long the run of Bad Batch is going to be. Because Bad Batch is probably going to be, what, a 12-week run?
Oh, dude, I believe Season 1, I think, was 16. I think Season 1 was 16 episodes.
Yeah, so if they go back to 16, it's a 4-month run. So then you have to choose what series crossover is more appropriate? Like, do you cross over with Andor, or do you cross over with Ahsoka? Like, that's where you kind of...
If you think about it, Bad Batch, I mean, it definitely from the trailer, which I thought was great, but you could tell time has passed. Yeah. So in my head, Bad Batch and Andor are kind of inhabiting the same timeline at this point in time.
Exactly. That's my thought, is that if you're going to cross over with something, it makes the most sense to cross over with Andor, because you're working within the same confines of time.
You know, you and I, we've talked about this a lot. We're like, Disney is never going to piss on their own stuff and kind of make viewers decide between Star Wars content. If this is legit, which, you know, this is all official stuff, I'm not just making it up. Like I said, maybe they typed the wrong month and it's actually October or November, but who knows? But if they do release, not simultaneously, but at some point they will be running concurrently, do they do the double drop on Wednesday, or do they maybe save Bad Batch for Fridays, since it's like a, you know, cartoon?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. If it were me, I would do a split release where it's like one on Wednesday, one on Friday. Because then you're essentially doubling your eyes. But here's what they have, what people may not think about, is like they now have enough data to tell what the crossover percentage is between live action viewers and animated viewers. So they can literally see, like, okay, if you're taking your whole pie as like the Kenobi audience, because that's the most ever, you can see like, okay, we can expect a 40% crossover rate between live action views and animated views, because we already know that the animated series get less views. So they'll probably end up doing it in a way where it's like, that's probably why they feel comfortable doing a live action and an animated.
Almost like they may pull some people from live action and vice versa between the two.
To try to like migrate the live action fans over to animated.
I mean, you are the social marketing guru, so
yeah. So like that is like what their ultimate goal is to try to say like, hey, all of you people who are watching this fucking awesome live action series that's happening over here, guess what? They have really awesome shit happening over here too in animated land. And the way that we're going to show you that is we're going to release these two shows at the same time, or that will like be released on the same schedule, that play with each other. Mm-hmm. Like these characters that you see over here in Andor may pop up over here in Bad Batch.
Right,
and watch both.
Not necessarily like identical years. It could be they run into a younger Mon Mothma. They run into I don't think they're going to run into a younger Cassian, but some other side players you may see in Andor.
Exactly. But you can watch one of them to give context to the other. Correct.
Because they are going to be dealing with the Bad Batch. They make it pretty clear, like some of the other clones, Rex and others, are like, listen, fuckers, yeah, you might think you're free now, but none of us are free under this empire. We have to fight back, and that's the gist of Andor and what that story is going to tell too. Hey, real quick, we're not going to obviously break it down, but what did you think of that Andor trailer? It was kind of unique looking for. It was Star Wars, but it wasn't Star Wars-y. Does that make sense?
That was kind of my take on it. Is like this is a Star Wars show that's least like anything that we've seen in Star Wars before. Yeah. Where it's like where it really kind of is like it's like a spy / like dark
as fuck. Like, I mean,
yeah, dark.
I know Star Wars in general is pretty dark. The prequels are probably the lightest until the end, but yeah, Andor seems like it's just going for full on Debbie Downer, and I live in that world, so I'm excited. Like I like doom and gloom.
I'm really interested in it, and I do think that this is kind of the biggest departure that we've seen from what's been made so far by Disney, and I'm excited for it. I'm actually really excited for it.
Yeah, big Tony Gilroy's probably going to get another win, and his dick's going to grow 10 inches, right?
Oh my God, this motherfucker.
I told you all, I am the best Star Wars everything. I'm better than George Lucas.
It's like you guys thought that you knew what Star Wars was, and I came in here not knowing anything.
Dude, he's still kind of doing interviews like that. Like I believe he did one recently, like saying, like, yeah, I'm the best still. Just wait. Like wait till you see what we do here.
He has that ego, man. But I do think that, like, for a show that has the potential to span a huge length of time, it has the potential to be something that we've really never seen before from Star Wars. Because, like, even like before I thought that about The Mandalorian, I was like, okay, this could do something really different. And it ended up like it did to a degree, but then it ended up like incorporating a lot of the tropes that we see in Star Wars all the time. So I really do hope that because Andor is going to be solely focused on this time period where the universe is basically devoid of Force users outside of Vader and Palpatine, that like we get away from like I have to find a Jedi, like that goes on.
That like, I don't even think they're going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I mean, you might hear about how the Jedi have disappeared, and it's up to us regular people now to save the galaxy. But yeah, they're not going to focus on any of that shit.
I really like what we saw from the trailer, and I do think
I like how they opened with the Dune chants like that. I dig it. I dig it. Like, I might not like the guy and his arrogance, but I can't say that he he doesn't make good choices because everyone points to Rogue One as Disney's best, and
that's the best.
He was described as the savior of that, and
the quote unquote savior.
And the trailer for Andor definitely looked intriguing. I mean, I think my favorite shot was that behind the back of Mon when she's at the Senate, and the Senate's like empty. It's like, oh, they're already to that point where no one gives a fuck anymore. Like, it's just such a sham. The Senate is just pure sham, and the Empire is truly becoming that. You
and
do
you can already see
go ahead.
The juxtaposition between what like little Leia said in Obi-Wan as they were walking, like when they first got on Mapuzo, and she's like, but isn't like somebody said, like, I can't remember the exact line preceding, but she's like, oh, isn't that what the Empire is supposed to help people?
Right.
And that's when Kenobi's like, yeah, some of the senators like your dad do.
Correct. Yeah.
And then now going into Andor, the Senate's just fucking dead. Like
great.
It's empty.
Even Tala herself, she's like, hey, I joined up because I thought we were doing the right thing. And then I realized too late that it's a big fucking scam by one guy. Palpatine here. We love you. What a mastermind. Okay. Getting into some Mandalorian stuff, and then we'll get to that fan segment here. We might be doing 3 hours, my friends. Sorry. But Giancarlo, Nick, he's back to doing his best Mark Ruffalo impersonation when it comes to being out on the circuit and divulging more information than the cast, crew, writers, showrunners may want them to. Now, you never know, though. You never know with this guy, although I do think he's pretty much been spot on. Because remember the one, like before season 2, he's like, oh, I ride around in a much bigger vehicle than a TIE fighter. It's massive. Yeah. And you're like, oh, yeah, he's in a fucking mini destroyer or whatever. But he had some interesting things to say at Celebration on one of the red carpets here. And if anything, he gave us some more insights into Moff Gideon that I think are important and could lead to some speculation for what we're going to see in season 3 and beyond. But what Giancarlo explained in the interview about Moff Gideon, he said, listen, he is a warden of a particular sector in the galaxy, which kind of makes sense based on Operation Cinder setup. The Moffs kind of took over either planets or sectors. Okay, but he's trying to bring the other wardens of the galaxy together for a reason. And Giancarlo specifically said that Gideon is running a bait and switch game as part of his plan. So I don't know if that he meant that in regards to wanting to be captured by the New Republic, but I think that's what he was saying. Like, it did seem like he kind of gave up, right? I guess he did want to kill himself at one point, but maybe even that was part of the show.
Yeah, he was like trying to put on an act.
Yeah, but in a different interview, he kind of touched on the same topic with Gideon. And it sounds like he does ultimately convince some of these wardens to his vision for how to return the Empire, which could very well be the beginnings of the First Order with Gideon. But apparently, like all things the Empire, those other wardens may want the power for themselves. So we could potentially get, and correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't this been covered in books or legends that there was a bit of an empire at war, if you will, like an imperial civil war for a bit after the fall of the Empire? What wasn't, again, I'm just spitballing, but apparently Thrawn kind of seized on this where the Empire was fucking around, and he was like, nah, let's do it this way. And honestly, they may already be headed that way because Thrawn's been introduced. We know he lives in this Mandoverse, and we've seen what Gideon is doing with the child and the experiments and what we know about Snoke and beyond and Exegol. So I don't know. What's your take on wardens running sectors, but Gideon in particular? He thinks his idea to bring everyone together, this is what we need to do to restore the Empire as the sole power in the galaxy.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense given the fact that wardens will probably be at each other's throats as much as inquisitors are. Like, of course, one of them is going to come forward as like, hey, the way that we really come back from this is to unite under me. And like, I definitely think that that's his angle, is to try to consolidate power under himself. Because as you've seen, like, he's the one who's out. I mean, at least that we know of so far, like, he's the one that's out in the galaxy, like, making noise and like positioning himself as the new leader of this remnant empire.
Definitely in that the sector that Mando has kind of stayed to, Arvala 7, Navarro, Tatooine. That seems to be Gideon's stomping ground.
Like the outer, it's not fully Outer Rim territory,
close enough,
but like in that section. And I think that, like, I mean, it makes more sense though that like he would call for that, and then Thrawn would show up on the stage, and then he would be the one to actually wrest power. If anything, I see there being a contentious relationship, if not outright hostile relationship, between Gideon and Thrawn.
Do you think that's because of just their ambition, or do you think Thrawn is off-put to Gideon's maniacal experiments and idea?
I get that.
Let me rephrase that. First and foremost, do you think, when it's all said and done, that Moff Gideon could be we can't call him the father of the First Order because that was revealed to be Palpatine with all that dumb shit and Tross, but do you think Gideon was like one of the first proponents of Palpatine's First Order, and he's the one trying to kind of get that ball rolling, and maybe Thrawn doesn't quite like that plan because of all the sciencey stuff? I don't know. I'm not a big... I love Thrawn, but I'm mostly contained to Thrawn and Rebels lore. Yeah.
It's interesting because there isn't a lot of like what Thrawn could be up to post Rebels, obviously, because he was jettisoned out into the galaxy where nobody fucking knows where he is. But the way that I would see it is like Thrawn had this idea that like, or Thrawn always carried himself as if he was like the heir apparent to the Empire. Like, if anything were to happen, he felt like the strongest hands, that whatever remained of the Empire was in his hands. Like, and the fact he's probably pretty off-put by the fact that Moff Gideon thinks that he can just kind of swoop in here and consolidate power under himself, where Moff Gideon definitely knows the rank and admiration and the station that Thrawn was in before his departure from the galaxy.
Is a Grand Admiral higher than just a Moff?
I believe so. Because, I mean, at a certain point, like Thrawn always looked down on the general Imperial structure, especially those above him. But like, he wasn't even taking shit from Tarkin. Like,
and we know Tarkin becomes a Grand Moff, which must be like the Grand Poobah, where you're the Moff of all Moffs, right?
Yeah.
Moffs to me were more like regional governors, right? Where they were more running planets versus being in the Navy, like Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Exactly. Like the Moffs were more politicians, whereas like you said, like being a Grand Admiral, like he is running a large majority of the Imperial Navy. And Thrawn was one of the few people outside of Vader that had one-on-one meetings with Palpatine. And like, it was always his notion that if power were to be wrested from Palpatine, or if something were to happen, that like he would take over that, like the leadership, at least militarily, of the Empire.
Now, my other question for you, is Thrawn more like a Vader Palpatine, where it's order at all costs, or is Thrawn, could he be more benevolent?
He definitely sees angles outside of the typical Sith approach to things, where it's like, if you're not doing things my way, I'm going to choke you to death. Like he is. Well,
even I guess let me try again. Remember on Naboo, during their stupid love moments in the grass, even before he's Vader, Anakin is more or less saying to Padme, like, if I could strong arm people into doing what I want them to do and believe in, then I would do it. Is Thrawn that, or?
No, what he is like he's so intelligent that regardless of what he wants to do, he can pretty much convince people of their own volition to do it. And like what the Palpatine and what Vader's method is like, you're going to do it or I'm going to make you do it. And like,
would Thrawn blow up planets if they didn't fall in line?
No.
Okay.
No, he wouldn't do that.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like what type of evil leader is he? I mean, is he pure evil, or does he just like the strategy of it all? Is it more of a game to him?
He is way more like Palpatine than Vader is, where he is way more subversive, and he will convince you that doing the wrong thing is the right thing to do, and then you make the decision yourself. Okay. Whereas Vader is like, you do it, or if you don't do it, I'm going to break your neck. So
yeah,
that's kind of like,
again, my
Palpatine liked him.
My Thrawn,
because he was so intelligent.
That makes sense, because my Thrawn context again is mostly relegated to Rebels, and even there, while you know he's the big bad,
he kind of looks like a buffoon in Rebels because like he constantly gets outsmarted by Phoenix Squadron.
Right, but also he doesn't just seem to be one of the mindless yes ma'am, yes sir, I'll do any evil at any cost to get these rebels to fall in line. It's like he appreciated the challenge of the pushback and you know, coming up with new strategies and tactics to get his way. But even like, was it General Pride or Price that was under him, where she was nuts. I mean, at one point she blows up like the fuel depot, and you know she does get Kanan, but it screws his plans on Lothal because she just had that, you know, narrowed vision of I'll do anything to get my target, even if it's killing random people and blowing shit up, resources that we need. I don't see Thrawn like that. Like, he doesn't seem to be irrational or acts on emotion.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Like, for example, like, and he's not like afraid of Palpatine. Let me put it that way too. Like, he's not afraid of him.
Well, I would say that's a miscalculation, because Palpatine in a snap of a finger could tear him apart. But I get it. Yeah. I get it.
Absolutely. But like he told Palpatine to his face, like, this Death Star idea is fucking stupid. Like, this is the worst thing that you could do for the Empire, because essentially he had another plan that was running concurrently.
The fighters, the tri-wing TIE fighters.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, if we do this, we're unstoppable. Yeah. Like, they can't beat us in dogfights. They can't beat us by sheer force of power or numbers. So we just win. But if you put all of your eggs in this fucking big ass moon basket, then and something goes wrong, you're fucked. All
right. Well,
and like he was right.
Just got a little Thrawn school. I like it, but I don't know. I think what Gideon is, or what Giancarlo was saying about Gideon, it could definitely in season 3 open up more of what the fuck the Empire is up to. Because let's be real, over season 1 and 2, I mean, season 2. They're there at like the end, right? He shows up, steals them at the end. You had the big rescue mission, and still just contained to Gideon's sector. It sounds like in season 3 we're going to start getting a much expanded look at what the fucking Empire is at this point in time, and what they're doing and what the other Moffs are up to. You know, some of them are probably living like kings and could give a shit. Others, like Gideon, they clearly have a plan that they narcissistically think is the best way to bring the Empire back to its former glory. And knowing that Thrawn is in this universe, it feels like he could get mixed up in this. So
yeah, I think he's definitely going to get mixed up. And I do, like, for some reason, I just feel like he is not going to play well with
Gideon.
Gideon.
So do you
like? He's gonna look down on Gideon.
I mean, we know the First Order's a thing, and it's gonna come out of these embers of the Mandoverse. Is when it's all said and done, is the First Order more credited to Gideon or Thrawn?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I feel like question. Gideon. Like I don't.
Yeah, I still feel like Gideon at this point. But we really have to see what angle they take with Thrawn, because you could take multiple angles.
We got to wait all the way to 2023. That was probably the biggest shock to me, was that Mando season 3 was like legit into 2023. I mean, we talked about it may pull a Book of Boba and show up last week at 22 and then finishes in 23. They're like, nah, fuck you guys. You're gonna have to wait till February. But knowing that, I think it's on purpose, because after that, I think you're naturally going to get Ahsoka, and there's probably going to be stuff that's done in season 3 Mando that will kind of highlight and maybe get paid off in the Ahsoka series. Did you ever? You probably didn't, because I couldn't upload it to Slack. But the leak Mando thing. I mean, my speculation on the season was almost 100% spot on. I mean, it's full on Din taking on the quest of the living waters under the mines of Mandalore, and Bo-Katan kind of being sourpuss. I was probably most interested in how they were portraying her. I mean, she just seems fucking down, depressed, but she's somehow alone with Grogu, and she's saying some shady shit to him, like, "Hey, did your dad ever tell you he's not the only Mandalorian?" Like, she's trying to. She might be getting a little back to Death Watch Bo there for a little bit.
I mean, it makes sense, because she just saw her fucking Darksaber in somebody else's hand.
Let's just go to our next piece, because I think we had some quotes from the lovely Miss Sackhoff about what Bo may be getting into. But before we get there, Nick punched us up today. There's a pretty good article from E.T., not Phone Home E.T., you know what I'm talking about. But they kind of interviewed a lot of the cast members on the Mandalorian Season 3. And while we know they couldn't say anything, I found some of the quotes to be interesting to kind of latch onto. So, Pedro, you're not getting much from him.
Yeah, you're not going to get
he's the hype man. He's pure hype man. He's like, yo, 3 is even better than the previous one. It's safe to say you're going to love it. All right. We agree. We know that. Thanks for nothing there, Pedro. But then he goes on. And I like this dynamic, and it kind of plays into Grogu in his IG-11 mech suit, rumoredly. That in season 3, we're going to see them kind of playing with the idea of who's really protecting who at this point in time in the saga of Din Djarin and Grogu. Because Pedro's saying, like, listen, Grogu is becoming more and more powerful, and it's important for Din to nurture him, but also make sure it's being done in the correct way. So, we already know Grogu, I believe, has saved Din more times than Din has saved Grogu. I mean,
yeah, that's inaccurate.
Din started at a deficit. I mean, the motherfucker captured him and actually turned him over to the bad guys for like a day, and then realized, oh, I'm a shithead, and then went back to get some
bad about
to get out of the red back into the black. So we had some comments from Mr. Cardboard, Carl Weathers, who also did some directing in season 3. And they're talking about a lot more depth, kind of like we were saying with the Gideon reveal. Like, if Gideon's going to be trying to pull in these wardens, that's naturally going to expand the scope of the Mandoverse, at least from the Empire's perspective. And Carl also said that each of the mains, you're going to have a much more personal story. And Nick, you see that in the leak. I mean, like I said, Bo just looks fucking down in the dumps. She's on her throne, feeling sorry for herself. Din and Grogu, they're making their way to Mandalore. The armorer is apparently going to be heavily involved and still helping him. So she clearly has... There's something between the armorer and Din that has not been fully revealed yet. Either she knows his real past and his potential, or she's seeing what he is doing and what he is bringing to the covert. Whether he breaks the rules or not, the guy is doing some fucking crazy things. He's finding Force users, finding more Force users to take them to, taking on, helping daimios out. I mean, he's doing some crazy shit, capturing Moff Gideons. And I mean,
he's really kind of outside of his purview as a bunker Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Like, usually they don't get fucking mixed up and shit.
And
like
if she was truly done with him due to his revelation, she wouldn't have told him how he could redeem himself. I mean, dude, you remember even when they were sparring, she's almost coaching him like an Obi-Wan to an Anakin. Like, I know you can do this. You've got the ability, the power there's something about you. And does she know there's something about him, or is she sensing it or seeing it now? But clearly she's going to have a bigger role. And it's weird because it's like, you're the one that's kind of upset with him because he's not drinking your Kool-Aid in full, yet it seems like you are almost destined to help him discover whatever he is meant to be, which is probably the one that brings Mandalore back to the Mandalorians in some form or fashion. Yeah. He is looking like their Jesus figure. Let's be real. I mean,
seems like it at this point. There's nobody else on the fucking horizon that can really hold that staff.
Yeah, I mean, he got the Darksaber back via combat, which no other Mando has been able to do since Darth Maul took it from Pre-Vizsla. So, like I said, found Luke Skywalker, found the Yoda baby. He's done some very interesting shit for, as Nick calls him, a bunker boy. So naturally, his mother is quite interested, or his den mother is quite interested.
Yeah, his den. Yeah. Gideon's up next.
Yeah,
Gideon. I mean, Giancarlo, like you said, like we already kind of talked a little bit about him kind of just spoiling shit already. So yeah, I mean, he continues to do that.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
his quotes were interesting.
In this quote, I'll sum it up. He pretty much says, yeah, Gideon's more than likely locked up, but he's probably going to get out. It's like, we know Giancarlo, but you probably shouldn't even paint that picture for us. I know. I mean, let's be real. We knew he's going to get away. You don't just, I saw some people like, how much you want to bet his escape entails, the fuck, I can't even remember her character name anymore. Cara Dune dying off screen. That's what they're like. We bet Gideon's escape deals with her dying off screen.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. But here he goes.
Kara's dead.
So him saying that he's probably going to escape because he can't just sit idly by. He goes, we want to see a guy who is a mastermind, who has an idea for the future that no one else has. So that's kind of going back to our previous discussion. Gideon's got the vision, and he thinks his way is the way, just like the way is for Din and the way is for Quinlan. So he has his way too. What else we got here? The armorer. I do like how Giancarlo presents Gideon as someone who, just like the rest, wants to save the galaxy. It just,
like, I don't think that he has a malicious view towards the galaxy in shaping it like Palpatine does necessarily. Like, Palpatine does, because he's alive still. Like, Palpatine went in knowing, like, I'm gonna fucking take over this whole bitch, and it's gonna be Sith life forever. And like, Gideon doesn't have that view of it. Like, Gideon just wants order restored to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think he likes the power too, and he definitely likes science.
He definitely likes the power. Yeah.
That's why I don't know. That's why I feel like he may be the one that zombie Palpatine, or whoever Palpatine's using, is. They may be working together, because, I mean, his fixation on that Force DNA can't just be his own doing.
It's more than likely him for two reasons. One, because he does have this sycophantic type of view towards the Empire and its resurrection. And two, because Palpatine can't puppet Thrawn. Like physically, I'm pretty sure that Chiss are unable to be mind controlled. Like they're like Watto, where they're like immune to mind tricks. So like, and then he's too intelligent for Palpatine to just straight up influence. Like, he's too smart. So like, if you want a puppet, it's not going to be Thrawn. It's going to be Gideon.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just, like, come on. 2023. Now we do know why they gave us so much Mandalorian in Book of Boba Fett. I mean, they saw this coming. Like, they even said in the behind the scenes, they're like, we couldn't go this long without touching back on our cash cow, the guy that started it all. All right, the armor. So Emily Swallow coughed up some information. So here it goes. Like I said, here's what she says. We have seen her guide Mando, but also he has surprised her, and she's rolled with that, and she's been open to seeing where he leads her. So she's like using him for something, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe in the end, it's revealed that her intentions are nefarious, and she's using him to claim the power of the saber and Mandalore herself. That's an interesting.
Yeah, it's
spin.
hard to believe that she is just purely benevolent.
Yeah,
and like just like I just want you to be a good person, and like if you follow these, you'll be a good person.
She does seem
like,
to have an agenda.
She has like there's no way that she doesn't have a grudge against the non-bunker Mandalorians, like against the Night Owls and against Bo-Katan's like little collective over there. Like she wants to rule Mandalore. She doesn't, or she wants one of her puppets to rule Mandalore. So yeah.
And as you say, Bo-Katan, so Katie's comment kind of picks up on the idea that like she turned down the saber. Remember, Din was like, I don't want this fucking thing. You take it. She turned it down, but clearly you could even see her after that moment. Like Bo-Katan's, everything about her changed once she realized that Din Djarin won the saber the right way. Like it affected her. It was like, fuck. All my planning has been ruined now. What am I to do with myself? Do I kill this guy that I've somewhat befriended and seen that he is skillful and quite a help to our kind? And that's kind of where I think Bo's going to be at. And here's what Katie said. Like, she's still on that journey, from the first time that we met her when she was very young and impressionable. Death Watch, remember, she was a scumbag. She didn't always quite make the right decisions, the best decisions for her kind and her planet. And she's been continuing to evolve and grow and figure out who she is, blah, blah, blah. And like Nick says in the article, captured the Darksaber. She refused it because she learned that and the armor also told us if you don't win in combat, you're going to curse the planet and get everyone killed. And that's kind of what happened. And Katie again says she's not done. Noting that because Kryze didn't accept the Darksaber at the end of season 2 makes us question, it makes Bo question, what's different? Why not now? And that's important. Okay. Yeah. Why did she turn it down when she took it gleefully in Star Wars Rebels when it wasn't through combat? Has the lore and the legends gotten to her? Does she truly feel like because she didn't win it in combat and then Mandalore fell, as the armor said, Bo-Katan was kind of to blame? It's a lot for a former sister of a queen to process. But I don't know. I think there's going to be... I don't think it will end in contention, but I think Bo and Din and those opposing factions, if it comes down to that, might have some issues with each other in season 3 before they realize, like, listen, why are we sitting here fucking with ourselves when we still have the remnant out there that did this to our planet? And that should be all right, let's focus. It's better to be one versus split. And then last but not least, our boy Tem out there. Apparently Tem was the hit of Celebration. I don't know if you saw any of his clips. He was doing Hawkeyes on every panel. Yeah. I mean, he was great. He was just like saying whatever he wanted, having a good time.
He is reveling in his newfound or his refound Star Wars.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, at his age, to be in this spotlight again and with the fandom and playing the characters he gets to play. I mean, hell, they even threw him a bone for a cameo in Kenobi. The first time he ever actually wore clone armor, believe it or not. So that was pretty cool. But he goes on to say, and who knows if this is him just kind of willing stuff, but when asked about Boba in Mando and moving forward, he's like, we've got to bring him back somewhere. We've got to see the old Boba Fett. See, he was a fan of the old Boba Fett.
Yeah, he wants to fight more.
Yeah, we reintroduced him. We found out some stuff, but I think it's time to get him back to his badass ways. No two ways around that. So I think we sort of have to have that scope to go back there, but that's out of my control. I'll just see what happens. I think what he's saying is naturally, Boba's going to have to repay some debts now, and he's going to have to go with Din and kick some more ass like they did in the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, Boba in Mando season 3 and moving forward makes complete sense. Remember, it's a connected universe. Everything's connected. All right. Well, I know, Tones, we're going long today. See you, buddy. Sleep well. Work hard. So there you go. That's some Mando updates. It is a bummer we're not getting anything until February of 23, but I think we still have a pretty action-packed 22 to go. Andor, Bad Batch, I think Vision Season 2 was 23 now, right? Was that confirmed for 23? No, maybe, I think is it Tales of the Jedi that's getting the 2022, I think? Maybe. We'll go with it.
It may be. Let's see. I'm looking now. Spring 2023 Star Wars Visions.
All right, so how about Tales of the Jedi? Maybe that's the fall short cartoon launch.
Tales of the Jedi.
It's all right. We operate in real time. We're cool.
Yeah, we're doing this late 2022. So yes, that is the one that will be coming this year.
We're still going to have content going up through the fall, if not the very beginning of the winter. So, hey, I guess we just have to live with it. Good things come to those who wait, apparently. All right, my friends, we've been taking our time. It was to be expected after 2-week break here. Sometimes we got to let out some hot air, but don't leave yet. We still have the fan segment to get through. That's right. Every week, every show, we dedicate a segment to our fans to close things out. If you want to get involved, the best way to do that is to follow us on Instagram, as that's where all the fan engagement seems to happen. The first thing we're going to deal with is our question of the week. The question gets posted every Tuesday morning to Instagram in the stories and posts. Check it out. If you want to respond, and maybe we will feature your content on the show. Just know we will read it as written, and if we think it's stupid, we will let you know that as well. The other way to get involved will be coming up next, and that is our top 5 fan artist features of the week. But first, my friend, let's see what the fans had to say. What was on their minds about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 3? That was the question. What was your favorite part and why? All right, so what did we get?
The first one's great.
Okay, here we go. All right, I'll take this one. This comes from Wolfs_Worlds. It wasn't a good episode at all. No favorite parts. Okay, guess to each their
Accompanied
own.
by one like for that comment as well. So,
all right, so clearly
somebody else agrees.
Clearly, this is one of those people that hates anything Disney puts out and thinks they know better than everything. But like I said, hey, it's an opinion, and I can have an opinion on their opinion. That doesn't make it fact.
Man, it's just so weird to me. Like, I wonder what this kid's Obi-Wan Kenobi show is in his head.
Dude. Just him and Vader smacking lightsabers together and using the Force. I don't know.
30 minutes, break, come back next episode. Like, I don't know what he expects. All right. Next up, Props. SW Props.
Hey,
a good
Props
friend
getting
of the
in
show.
on the question of the week.
He's in here. He says the eeriness and intense moments when Vader finally gets near Kenobi. That was something that I called out too. Like, just you felt Kenobi's unease the entire episode.
Yeah.
You felt his uncomfortable feelings. You felt the tension even before Vader got there.
Tension,
like,
anxiety, shell-shocked, PTSD, whatever you want to call it. And you could really tell, Ewan has told the story over and over, but this was the scene he was talking about in those anecdotes where this was, the first time Vader walked out on the set for everyone to see, and it genuinely frightened him, and you can see that in his performance. He's acting with true emotions and not the skills he's used to make himself seem scared in other projects. I have a feeling the Vader stuff's probably going to make up a lot of these, right?
The Obi-Wan Vader stuff definitely.
I knew it. I was like, I still got to put up the question, but I know exactly what this is going to be.
Yeah. So all right. So next up, franchise fan 1367 says, the Obi-Wan and Vader scene, it describes the hated Vader, I assume he meant hatred, Vader had for Obi-Wan and the power he has now, and how to told Obi-Wan that it was he who made him. And it describes in how Vader in Rebels and Episode 4 believed Obi-Wan was still alive after their fight 9 years ago. Making sense instead of believing he was alive after 19 years.
Hey,
It was hard to get through.
I love you,
but
franchise
he was
fan.
clearly passionate.
Yeah, I love you, franchise fan 1367, but I don't even know what the fuck's going on here. Like, I don't know what's trying to be said or not, but I think you're right. I think this person did dig it, and we love you for it.
You could sense the passion and the response. But basically what I assume he's trying to say is like you could feel the animosity that Vader had towards Obi-Wan, even though he wasn't speaking a lot. Like just you could feel.
I believe you.
The hate.
I believe you, man. That was a good one. But hey, we love you, franchise fan. Give us a sub if you haven't already done so.
That's right. Vin Faith Custom says, I think the most intense moment is when Ben
there we go.
have an hallucination and sees Anakin looking at him from far away. I did enjoy that part too. Like the
dude,
robed Anakin.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, or as like he likes to refer to himself now as Ben. I mean, he is fucked up. Like he makes Luke's depression look simple. Like Luke could have just went to Dr. Phil to deal with his problems. Obi-Wan is jacked. Like this guy is messed up in the head.
Yeah, I mean, it was similar what happened between Luke and Kylo and Ben Solo, but like what actually happened between Anakin and Obi-Wan, like to literally have this person that you were best friends with and then you cut his legs off on the bank of a fucking lava river, that will fuck you up. Yeah, that will fuck you up for sure. All right, and then the final one, Tones 1138. He just left. Sorry, Tones, but you made the fan responses. He says, Vader letting Kenobi know what it feels like to burn. He'd waited a long time for that, and for that, and you could tell he was relishing in it by the slow drag through the fire instead of making it quick. Also, the line, "What have you become? What you have made me." Absolutely incredible writing. So there you go. That's the fan responses for this week. And as we all probably knew coming into this segment, a large majority of them were based around Kenobi and Vader, except for that one guy who didn't like anything. So sorry, one guy who didn't like anything.
Yeah, no, like, I'm glad we got one of those though.
Yeah, one of those in there just to show that no matter what slice of the internet you're in, there are idiots. So,
there's no doubt about it. Sorry, I'm getting communique from my real boss, so I gotta do some side typing here.
Some working. But anyway, so that's the end of the question of the week segment of the podcast. So that will move us into the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. This week is going to be from 5/30 to 6/6/2022. If you want to get involved in this segment, the best way to do that is to use the hashtag Star Wars Time Show on your Star Wars art posts on Instagram and tag us at Star Wars Time Show on your art post. That will put you on Matt's radar.
That's right.
His force sense will ping when those tags come through. And if he likes your shot, he will add you to the ever-growing folder of to be featured artists. And then after Matt features the artists throughout the week, it is my job, it is my responsibility as keeper of the top 5 to choose just 5 of those for the best shots of the week. And that's how the top 5 segment works. Hashtag Star Wars Time Show, at Star Wars Time Show. We will see you. I will pick you. And then that's how the top 5 is made. So, without further ado, the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. The first one this week is at _cinematographer_. Awesome name, cinematographer. I'm pretty sure that they've made the top 5 before. But this is an awesome shot of Rot's Anakin hot toy, I assume. Or is this Clone Wars Anakin? I can't tell. I think this is Rot's Anakin, right? Yeah, I think it's Rot's Anakin.
Yeah, it's the figure I got sitting in this fucking box right now because I'm an asshole.
Sitting in the box right next to you. But he is standing right next to Wolf and Cody, it looks like. I think it's Cody. And they're taking a look at Grievous's battleship. So I guess they're like planning out they're like doing the planning for the attack on Grievous's battleship that happens in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. I mean, Hot Toys figures always look really cool, but cinematographer did a great job of like nailing this blue lighting that always engulfs a room when you are surrounded by Star Wars holograms.
Yeah,
they're
and
always
these are
blue.
all, I don't know, these are all the big boys, right? So these are the Barbie dolls.
Yeah, the 1/6 scale ones. So
it's the color grading that cinematographer gets that kind of pays off on the name. They really do look like movie stills shot on a set. It's just it's the post. And obviously the shots are composed well and the setups are cool. But
just like getting that hologram figure of this ship is pretty awesome. Like this looks really great. Like I don't know if this is actually like a physical part of this, like part of this set, but like if it's not, and he actually went in and kind of did a like an opacity drop and make this whole thing look like blue graded, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, it's cinematographer. So @cinematographer_ on Instagram.
Beautiful,
great stuff if you're into the cinematic Star Wars shots. I think they also do other pop culture franchises, but who worries about that shit, right? There's always time for Star Wars time, so that's where we live.
That's right. All right. Next up is @press_pause_photography_ favorite of the show. What we see again, Wolf featured in the shot here. So what we see is Wolf hiding behind.
It's Rex.
A tree.
It's Rex.
Rex.
Yep.
My bad. Yeah. That's Rex hiding behind a tree. While Vader is clearly stalking him.
I almost should go to Press Pause's actual post because he had it was almost like a little story he told with it. So let me pull that up real quick. But you're right. It is essentially Vader hunting Rex. Like Vader knows Rex is hiding. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, it's like it's cool. Sometimes these photographers will do like little stories here, and this one even has a 2-panel story to it. But what Press Pause put, it says, "I know you're here, Captain. We need not be adversaries. The Emperor will reward your service." So
cool. I mean,
it's awesome.
I love that. Yeah, like the fact that Vader held Rex in high enough esteem. Obviously, he would because he worked with him so closely. Man. To like literally hunt him down. Like as much as going on in the galaxy with the hunting of the Remnant Jedi and everything else going on, he still has time to go out there and look for Rex. You know what's
funny though? I could actually see that happening in canon because they were so close. He knew what Rex was and the type of clone he was, or person. We'll call him a person. And, obviously the fact that Rex, he probably had an idea Rex was getting mixed up with resistance and rebellions. And he's like, this could be problematic, but let me see if I can get my old Cap back on Team Darkside here. But it's great photography too, because we're using some awesome force perspective here. These are the big boys again. If you look in the behind the scenes, Rex is, I'd say probably 10 to 15 feet in front of Vader, but if you look in the finished shot, they feel very close, but you get that great depth to the shot because of that forced perspective. That's good. It's good stuff. I think I said this before, but press_pause_photography, one more underscore, is one of my personal favorite accounts for sure.
100%.
Plus, I know Connor actually checks my shit out. Like he actually checks the shit out to the point where he'll send me hey man,
little
keep
message.
It up type of shit on my personal Haywood Pop account, and that shit goes a long way for me. It's like, thank God there's someone out there that's paying attention.
Somebody's out there.
I know we're better than half these motherfuckers that get all the attention. That's what drives me nuts. I know you don't care, and I'm not asking you to. But it burns my ass that some of these other fan sites and podcasts are like looked at as the almighty end all be all. Give me a break. Got
juice behind them somewhere.
I know.
We have no juice.
Well, I've seen now
what it is.
And Fantha Tracks, they've been around forever, and I believe most of them that's their full job. But they're so big now that they had like Kathleen was hanging out at their booth and doing shit with them, and that's pretty fucking impressive for a fan site to essentially get co-opted into the main celebration planning.
Yeah, I remember in 2019 they had their own.
Oh, they're big. I believe.
Like, anybody could have a booth.
I think his name's Mark Newbold, who runs Fantha Tracks. I believe he was actually hired by Lucasfilm or Reed Pop to run the podcast venue at Celebration. So.
Impressive.
Hold on. Connor's in the chat. He just said that the second shot he actually did 2 years ago. And wanted to return to it. Yeah, and wanted to return to it. So that makes it even more impressive. Thank you for the insights there. We always like when the artists can get in here and kind of help flesh out what they were thinking or explain the shot, especially if our dumbasses fuck up the explanation.
Very true. We'll see if this artist is still in here because he was earlier. This is at Super Scoundrel next up on the top 5. Yeah. You know he's a favorite real-ass painter of the Star Wars time show.
That right there, I don't know if this is his old Vader and he added effects to it, but I'm looking at him like, that's what I should get tattooed. That style Vader. Like, it's not full 100% Rebels Vader, but
it's like McQuarrie-ish.
Yeah,
Rebels.
Yeah, it's more like that. It's like Rebels, McQuarrie, and a bit of, our guy, but just look at that.
It's a little bit more angular. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the best way to describe it is like picture Rebels Vader in your head and then like kind of mix it with like McQuarrie Vader drawings and stuff like that. And that's what Devin has brought to life here.
I like that.
Wreathed in flame. So what it's basically a recreation of what you see in Kenobi Part 3 when Vader is standing there amongst the flames as he drags.
I love it. He really is. He's just sitting there
like,
I could have killed him, but it's more fun to just fuck with him. So I'm gonna see what
it's like,
I'm gonna see what this Ned B can do with him. Let's have some fun. Let's get a chase on. Because I do think there's still like one other quick encounter between these two, or at least like a band of troopers, where, as Kenobi's, trying to heal or whatnot. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But you just gotta love Vader, just how nonchalant he was after torturing his former master, and then just kind of letting him get away and just sitting there enjoying his destruction in front of him. What a boss.
Yeah.
What a boss.
Basically, like, now you know how I feel, bitch.
He's like, hey, check me out. I am fucking more powerful than you.
Devin's in the chat. You now have your mission. Your mission is to make Matt a tattoo, a piece of art that he can get tattooed on his body featuring a version of Vader that looks something like this.
I kind of had ideas, and I don't know, these are probably too sentimental or dumb. But even
that's what tattoos are supposed to be. Sentimental and dumb.
I get it. I've actually been, speaking of tattoos, I'm still on Paramount Plus. I've dove headfirst back into Ink Master, and I just love it. I love that show.
I used to watch it a lot.
They have like all the seasons on there, and some of the ones I missed. I don't know if they've continued it beyond like 2018-19, but
one of the girls that was from the earlier season, Sarah Miller, she did a Star Wars, like an incredible Yoda tattoo on the show. I still follow her, and she's like impossible to get a tattoo from because she's always booked.
So here's kind of my idea. Like, what if I did a portrait of my kid, but her as like Leia with like the buns and the hood.
Leia buns.
Yeah. Or like,
dude, that would be
or
cute.
like Charlie in the styling of Rey.
I feel like Rey would probably be the better one because that's partially her namesake.
Right.
With like then you just choose the style of Rey that you like. I think that would be cute as fuck, dude.
See, and
you should do it.
In my mind, I feel like I should go sleeve. Like, it would take forever. I mean, I don't have one goddamn tattoo, and I don't know how my skin would react because I have broken skin from CIU. But I think knowing how I am when I dive into something, a hobby, if you will. I mean, just look what I'm doing on the one wheel. I've logged like, I think almost 120 miles in 2 or 3 weeks on the fucking thing. I know once I got one, it would be like, all right, how soon before I can get the next one?
Oh yeah, that's how it is for everybody.
Can I get the next one? How soon? And before you know it, my whole arm's going to be covered.
If you want to get it somewhere where you have like pretty clean skin that doesn't get abrased easily and like rubbed off, your forearm is probably one of your better spots, because typically you don't wear long sleeves all the time. So like even if you had it on like your shoulder or like the interior of your bicep, the clothes will still rub against it. Like mine, I have one on the interior of my bicep, and like the clothes still rub against it, so you get some wear. But like on your forearm is typically a spot that's like super clean skin. It's gonna hurt like fuck because the skin is sensitive there, but it's like a really good canvas area. Yeah,
the intern, I believe his whole arm is done now. Like, I don't know if you remember where it was before, but he's got it fully finished out. He got a lay on there. He's got some X-Wings now, that badass Vader from... I still wish I found that Vader before him, because that would have been it. But this one right here is fucking just as money, if not better. It's better, damn it, it's better.
It's better.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like start calling up Cameo and commissioning Devin to work on some tattoo ideas.
You can do that on.
I'm getting old. I mean, I'm like already out of my prime to have tattoos, but I do keep myself in shape. So I feel like getting tattoos that would, kind of accent man muscle, that it would keep me motivated to keep working out into my 80s. You never know, but the whole tattoo bug has resurfaced again, kind of out of nowhere.
It should.
Yep. All right, but yeah, that's our boy at super_scoundrel, and this one was a winner, Nick, because sadly a lot of our followers, based on the algorithm, they don't necessarily like Star Wars artwork or Lego photography. But this one, the fact that it got 246 is like, this one stood out and even got through our built-in algorithm. So
exactly. So beautiful
Kudos,
stuff.
Devin. We love you, pal. Just send me over some designs and I'll give you the green light. Okay, wink, wink.
There you go. There you go. All right. Next up, we have first-time top fiver here. Jesse Fierson is the way that I would say. Jesse.
Sounds good to me.
Fierizon on Instagram. So what we have here is the returned Boba Fett, the new Boba Fett, the Neo Boba Fett, as Matt calls him. And he's just laying waste to some Imperial Remnant troopers. You can see that he's got one held by the neck on his knees in his hands while he's firing away at another one that's in front of him, just like dismantling these people.
Yeah, he's got one in a fucking half headlock. He's like, hold on, I'll snap your neck after I shoot this guy. That's what I like. I mean, there you go. That's badass Boba right there. He does make a good figure. I think this is the figure arts version of the refresh Boba outfit. He does look damn good. Yeah, it's a great practical shot. You got some, particles getting kicked up, probably canned air or drain blaster, adding in some blaster bolts in post. But it's as usual when it comes to, toy photography that stands out. It's posing and just getting that little shithead plastic man to hold another little dickhead plastic man like that. That's always impressive, because I can't put it into words how frustrating and difficult it can be to get these little cocksuckers to work with you. They're not the best subjects. Half the time you need to jam wires up their ass or tape them to their feet, and just to okay, don't fall over at the slightest breeze. But job well done here from at Jesse Feyerisen on Instagram.
There we go. Good.
This was the winner of the week for me. I mean, I love Devin's, and I want a tattoo of it, but this was a masterpiece.
Yeah, this here from at Work More or Less, friend of the show, former guest on the show. It is. It's just a masterpiece in terms of toy photography, and then also emotional moment capturing. So what we see here is Ahsoka and Rex in an embrace, after they had just wiped out their squad mates, their battalion members, the 332nd, all dead at their feet after the remnants of Order 66 had happened. And you can just see the emotional toll that it took on both of them. You don't even see their full faces. No. Rex's face is buried in the crease of Ahsoka's elbow, and then Ahsoka's face is faced a completely different direction, but you can feel the pain and the
dude,
suffering that these two are going through.
The emotion that this shot puts out is ridiculous for toy photography. I mean, it is, to me, this is what they did as soon as they crashed on that planet, right? We saw them crash, but then it cuts to black and we return to where they've already buried them all, and she's got her hood on and she's ready to give up her lightsabers. This is literally after everything happened. And both of them, you remember what they went through. I mean, Rex almost killing her Rex getting the chip out of his head, then him having to stun and at times consider killing his brothers, and her, same thing, trying not to kill any of them. But at the same time being attacked by the entire battalion, and the ship coming down, and Maul getting away with their escape, and then Rex having to get one of the BTLs, and then Ahsoka essentially base jumping or base diving with no parachute to grab on. Yeah. And you can just, this shot is literally them finally taking the breath of fuck.
What just happened?
What just happened to us? What is going on? And it's killing them both. Rex is crying. Ahsoka. I even like how Jason's got it so it looks like Ahsoka is kind of tiptoeing up to get to Rex, as she would, because she was shorter than him. It's those little touches. Look, he's got a broken off Razor Crest engine back there to make up some of the parts for the broken Star Destroyer. That is some top-notch staging, composition, whatever you want to call it.
The detail.
Yeah, it's just it's fucking money. I guess maybe I'll get this tattoo too. It just seems like any cool thing I see now, be it toy photography or real ass paint, let's slap it on the skin canvas.
Tattoo it. Put it on the right ass cheek.
Yeah.
And then move on with the next.
I mean, the final thing here, obviously, and this is one of his specialities, is the lighting. The lighting is masterful. It's perfect. You get that dusk or the dusk haze coming in.
Yeah.
It gets dark in the background, but you got the light focus, that golden light focused on the embrace. And then, like you said, the scattered clone bodies, the appropriate 330-second helmet, it's kick-ass. So, too bad Work More or Less couldn't make the show today. We're going to have to put them in the penalty box, but we still love a shot, and this is definitely worthy of a top 5.
100%. So that's it. That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of the first show back together in 2 weeks.
Here we go.
So there you go. Matt, take us home.
You got it, my friend. I'll try to make it quick because I know we're a little past our deadline. It was going to happen. We'll probably be back to our normal cadence and runtime next week, which is usually 2.5 hours. Today, we hit the old 3-hour mark, which we typically don't do much anymore. But I think we had a lot of good shit to talk about. Like I said, I've been waiting to sit down here and talk to my Chewbacca about everything that's transpired over the past really 3 weeks since we last talked, and it's good to be back. It's good to be back talking about series like Kenobi and how great it is, and the awesome characters in there like young Leia and Reva, and obviously Kenobi and Vader. But yeah, we shouldn't have any more breaks in the schedule. At least I'm stable at least through the first part of August. So you should be getting your weekly doses of the SWTS moving forward, at least getting us through Kenobi. Like I said earlier, I would really, really like a stronger push on some of the content we put out, the short form. If you see a reel, at least give it a tap on the like. If not, a share to your story. Even better if you're someone that finds yourself on YouTube a lot. Just stop by the channel every once in a while. Check out the shorts. Give them some thumbs up. Leave a comment. It helps. I'm telling you, I have seen traction during the short form content, but I know it would be even greater if we got a little more interaction. We got to grease the algos on all platforms now. That's just how it goes. So if you do like what we do, and you feel you want to help out, that's really all we can ask of you, is just pay attention to what we're doing and highlight it and spotlight it when you see it. And if that means going to Instagram right now and liking our last 5,000 posts so Instagram realizes you like our account, go do it. And then after you do that, you can dance your little happy asses over to StarWarsTime.net, which is our home base on the internet. And really, these days, it's not where you're going to find all of our content. So that's why you need to come here and see where we're at on the socials. You're going to get short form content on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You'll get our longer form pieces on the site. And, you know, when it comes to longer breakdowns, they'll also probably make the site. But I even broke down the Darth Vader comic. Short form, check it out. Some cool interactions from Anakin's past. He actually runs into Kitster and Wald on a planet as Darth Vader. And they have a great panel in there where they show Anakin, Kitster, and Wald as kids at the race. And then you see them in the same positions as Darth Vader and then the older versions of those characters. So that content's out there for you. You just got to find it and appease the algo gods. But like I said, StarWarsTime.net, that's a good place to start. You can subscribe to the podcast, which, yes, we do it. This show that we broadcast live gets put out on all podcast platforms a day later. You can also find an easy sub-to link to the YouTube channel if you're not already subbed. And if you're new here, go ahead and click that sub button right now. At least give us a like if you're already subbed. You know what I mean? Drop some comments too. The comments in the chat are great, but they don't do much for juicing the algo. So if you have some comments on today's stream and you're on YouTube, go ahead and leave them there as well. I feel like I'm asking a lot of all of you right now, so I apologize, but it helps. And hey, at least you don't have to pay for this dumb shit, right? There's always time for Star Wars time, my friends. Let the world know. Pound those chests. Don't be scared to be a fan. I know it might be toxic to some other Star Wars fans, but we are the show to pay attention to. No bullshit. Except when I get crazy. All right? And besides, as we always tell you and like to remind you, if you do listen to this humble little Star Wars show, the Force will be with you always.